You know, I wanted to kind of start the show off like in a peaceful way, but what do I get? I get Xander in a conversation with me, and we're talking about Nick and Jalen here. I think it's an interesting conversation. Dan Orlovsky from ESPN made an interesting comment. We'll do that here in a second, but as always, we appreciate our friends at BetUS for powering the next 4 hours. And we always start the program off with big sales. We start week 7 of the National Football League off tonight. Kind of like I don't know, Denver, New Orleans, Bo Nix versus is Derek Carr playing or they got some other stiff Tyson Hill in there? I don't know. Okay? I'm sure we'll get the best Al Michaels tonight. And Kirk Herbstreit, I don't get Kirk Herbstreit working pro football. I mean, the guy never was even in a training camp when he came to an NFL team. And the weirdest thing was a couple weeks ago, he said, yeah, I've never been to Arrowhead. I'm like, good night. You're calling pro football games and you've never been to Arrowhead. Okay. Hey, man. I guess so, man. By the way, I like Kirk on college stuff, but as pro stuff, I don't get it. Spencer Radler versus Bo Nix. Wow. Hey, that sounds like an SEC game, baby. Yeah, SEC when Bo was at Auburn 18 years ago. I mean, I've never seen a guy in college longer. This guy was like a Mormon or something, and this guy's been in college for like 10 years. He had 4 years or 3 years, Xander, at Auburn, and then he had another 3. People got on my shit at Miami for an extra year because I graduated, and I wanted to play my senior. I couldn't do it. They didn't let me. Now, hell, you could stay in college until you're 30. It's crazy. Anyway, so week 7 does begin. Broncos and Saints tonight, whatever. Eagles and Giants on Sunday. You know, Xander and I were talking about something at the start of the program. And I brought up Dan Orlovsky. He said that there is no way that the Philadelphia Eagles are running Kellen Moore's offense. I've been saying that since the start of the season. It's not. Nick Sirianni has his fingerprints all over this. This is the offense that the organization envisions Jalen playing. This was kind of the conversation that Xander and I were having. He goes, no, this is Jalen. No, Jalen's the wrong guy to execute the program. And Kellen Moore's the wrong OC. We're now finding out all 3 dynamics are wrong. The scheme is wrong, the coordinator's wrong, and the quarterback is wrong. You have all 3 wrong here. That's why it looks the way it does. No matter if you put A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith on the field, you're still going to struggle. They struggled against the Browns. Let's be candid here. They struggled against the Browns. Dan Orlovsky this morning on Get Up, ESPN, said that there's no way that this resembles anything that Kellen Moore ever did in Dallas. We said that to you in the offseason. Kellen Moore is all of a sudden going to become a guy that deals with dual threat quarterbacks when he never dealt with one in Dallas. Dak Prescott wasn't a dual threat quarterback. He was a drop back pocket passer. Traditional. Jalen Hurts, they're trying to make traditional, but he's not. We all say that, and we know that. So get this. Moore doesn't run that style of offense. The quarterback doesn't play his style, and Nick's still influencing the offense from the ideology of what the organization wants Hurts to look like. There's no way that's a successful remedy or recipe to get to a Super Bowl and win. We're now figuring out what's wrong with the team. All 3 dynamics don't fit. Not everybody and not all court. Look at Cliff Kingsbury working in Washington with Jaden Daniels. Look at another example. Todd Monken in Baltimore working. Look at Matt LaFleur working with Jordan Love. Kyle Shanahan. Hey, if there's not a better example of this, Kyle Shanahan couldn't run an RPO quarterback. I'm not sure Trey Lance was the right guy. But they drafted that skill set player because they wanted to see something that could be maybe a little better than what he had when it came to Colin Kaepernick in the organization at that time. I know it wasn't Kyle then. It was Jim Harbaugh as the coach. But that style of play the organization has wanted to kind of morph into is that dual threat guy, the running quarterback. Oh, when they drafted Trey Lance, they gave 3 ones up for him. They were convinced that that's the style of the future of the league. When you give up 3 ones, you're convinced that's the next generation of quarterback. Then what did they do? They saw that as a failure, and they were lucky they landed on Brock Purdy. There's only one other dynamic that ever worked, and it worked for another Shanahan. You had RG3. You drafted him 1, but you hedged your bet, and you drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th round out of Michigan State. That ended up being a short-lived proposition. Washington hasn't had a better quarterback since Kirk Cousins. Now they may with Jaden Daniels. Okay? Now they may with Jaden Daniels. By the way, all super chats go to the top. Please hit the like button. Merril Reese will join us at 5:30 Eastern. Xander at 3:30 as always. We appreciate all your takes. Thank you. We'll get to them here in a second. But, hey, that right there in a nutshell is the issues that we had. I mean, it was a great conversation, actually, because Xander believes that that's Jalen. It is Jalen. And it also is Nick. And it also is Kellen. And it also is the ideology, like John McMullen says, on what the organization wants. So you got a dual threat quarterback running a pro-style offense. That would be like Lamar Jackson going to Green Bay and running Jordan Love's offense. He could never run that offense. Or better yet, he could never run Kansas City's offense. He could never run that. Absolutely no way. By the way, Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow could never run Philadelphia's offense or Washington's offense. Joe Burrow would get murdered in that Baltimore offense. He would get murdered. Why? He's not a runner. He's just not. I mean, at the end of the day, you got all 3 components wrong. Okay? All 3 components are wrong. Okay? I mean, it doesn't make sense. On one hand, you're looking at the guy going, by the way, we're going to kind of break down a little bit what Jalen said yesterday. We're going to do this too. We're going to give out the grades on how well they played this previous week. And I'm going to make a point to you that the Eagles really didn't play that great defensively. And also, we're going to talk a little bit more about Nick here in a second. Let me ask you this. Let's start the program off. By the way, we'll morph back more into what we're talking about. Please hit the like button here, guys. Hey, NS Wells says this. Who's calling plays? I think it's like Brian Johnson. I think the only thing that Nick has kind of relented more is that there's more say from the offensive coordinator in the play calling. And I think Kellen's play calling probably with a little bit more conviction than what Brian did because he's got more experience. But those offenses that he's now putting out there on the field, they don't resemble anything Dak did. By the way, if that's the offense that they want to run, in my opinion, Kellen Moore doesn't look like a very good OC. He doesn't look like a very good OC. They get away from the run game. They can't find a tight end when the other 2 receivers on, and the quarterback can't read. And he knows that. He's limited on his own style of play. Do you know why that offense is up and down right now? Because the quarterback is not the right guy. I'm convinced of one thing now here. Hey, Bob, you tell me if you agree with this. Seals, let's be honest. If Lamar was in Kansas City, Andy would modify his scheme to benefit Lamar and work with Lamar's skill set. That's what good coaches do. It's funny you say that, Bob. They tried to do that with Donovan McNabb in Philadelphia. What did McNabb stop doing at the end of his career in Philly? He stopped running. When Donovan McNabb stopped running, it ended his career because he wasn't that great of a passer. He was a good passer, but when he was dual threat and he was running around the way he did, he was a hell of a player, and he was knocking on the door to being a Hall of Fame football player. Okay, he was knocking on the door, but when he stopped running and wanted to just be a pocket passer, that ended his career in Philly. It pretty much ended his career because when he got to Washington, the Eagles were so confident that even when he went to Washington, he wasn't going to win games in Washington. He wasn't that good. Hey, get this. Joe says McNabb tore his ACL. Well, that's what happens with dual threat, dude. That's what happens with dual threat. They don't have high ceilings. I've been telling you that. The Eagles are trying to extend Jalen Hurts' career, making him more of a limited passer and a player. Dude, that guy's nowhere near the player he was in 22. Let's be candid here. He's not. He looks average. And no one can convince you of it. Here, how about this one here? Let's do this. Let's ask the simplest question. Has the Eagle offense gotten better since the start of the year? Has the quarterback gotten better? Start of the year. Has it? And you're going to go, Sills, well, the receivers are out. Dude, it shouldn't shut down your entire operation. So if you guys go to work and your boss doesn't show up, does your company shut down? I mean, honestly, really? If one guy doesn't show up to work, the whole place shuts down? And you surrender each week? I mean, tell me. Has the offense gotten better since Green Bay? New coordinator, and we're making the turn. No, this guy says you're making the turn. Where? Where did you make the turn? You won by 4 points over the Browns. What are you talking about? You had all your stars, and you beat a shitty team that you should have beat by 24 points. You beat them by 4. Coming off a bye. It's safe to say the Eagle organization are quarterback killers. Yep. Hey, Prince, isn't it funny? When they start paying you is when they start ruining you. You know what I'm saying? Prince, when they put an investment in you, they start ruining you. I'm going to make this proclamation, and I want you to hear me one more time. Okay? You don't need to have a superstar team to win a Super Bowl. But if you got a great quarterback, you can win one. And if you have a great team and you don't have a good quarterback, and he's an average quarterback, you're not winning a Super Bowl. Average quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls. Nick Foles' scenario was special. No question. By the way, Nick had a Pro Bowl under his belt. It wasn't like he was a stiff. Let's always not forget that. He was a Pro Bowl guy. He just wasn't a regular old substitute teacher. Maybe one of the weirdest careers of all time was Nick Foles's. 26 touchdowns, 2 picks, that shit that year. Some crazy numbers in the postseason on how great he's played. It's 4-2 or something like that in the postseason. I mean, he got the team close to 2 conference championship games in a row. Alshon Jeffries catches that pass. You're in another NFC title game. A lot of Eli Manning in him in the postseason. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. Pretty clutch dude. Pretty clutch dude. I'll tell you this. You put me in the playoffs and you give me the difference between Jalen Hurts and Nick Foles, I wouldn't even think twice about Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't think twice. I'd take Nick Foles over Dak. No, it's just like last year. Rely on big plays. Haven't had a solid drive in years, since 22. They don't want to run. They want to be like Miami and have the 80-yard TD passes. Isn't that crazy too, Anthony? It's about making the bad play, not the great play that wins you Super Bowls. Look at how boring Brady and Kansas City are. Those had to have been some of the most boring offenses of all time. If it wasn't for Gronk's personality, New England will go down as one of the most boring dynasties in the history next to the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, it was so boring. Kansas City's like that right now. You go to Kelsey and nothing else. Juju Smith-Schuster? Okay. Kind of. Sills, we have combined 21 yards on the first drives in 5 games. My confidence is so low on the quarterback, I'd rather have Will Levis. Bad ball from number 1. Dude. And that coach, Callahan, hates him. Okay? That coach can't stand him. That offense hasn't gotten better. Will it? It didn't last year. And if we're going under the same guidelines as what Dan Orlovsky's saying, it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. I'm not under some sort of impression this thing's getting better. What, because you got AJ and Devontae back? That's not good enough for me. Because the quarterback, hey, get this. Xander's right in a lot of ways. Getting those guys back last week against Cleveland, but in my eyes, getting those guys back had no significance whatsoever because the quarterback's not good enough. I mean, the receivers aren't going to win you Super Bowls. The quarterback is. Look at the last 10 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. Name me a stiff. Or name me a guy who's average in the last 10 quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. Hell, if you want to go 15, maybe the only guy is Nick Foles. Seals, if we're honest, AJ and Smitty being out was actually a good stress test to see how much Jalen Hurts has embraced the new scheme. Oh, wait. It's not a new scheme. That is so dead on. That is a fabulous take. What it did was it exposed the fact that it's the same offense. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And the quarterback still has his deficiencies, except for one thing that he's picked up and done better on. You know what that is? The blitz. But what that does is it eliminates a lot of deep throws down the field. Now, again, great play against the Browns late in that game to close it out by going deep and closing that game out. No question. I told you this before about Hurts. He's capable of making top 5 plays at any moment in a game, but he's not a top 5 passer. Dude, there's a skill set to him for sure. But is it a guy who can win you a Super Bowl? You're going to go like this. Well, Sills, he was seconds away from winning a Super Bowl against Kansas City. So was Colin Kaepernick seconds away from winning a Super Bowl. That game was close until the lights went out. Actually, San Francisco was winning. Jalen's offense, F it. AJ down. They're somewhere. I mean, AJ's not on that field. That offense shuts down. How does this organization not see that? It's the same thing as last year. I mean, there's setup to field that comes from the owner. The setup, it does come from the owner. And also it comes from the analytics department, Angelo. And the general manager executes the plan. This is what the organization, John McMullen, tells you. This is the setup. That's why nothing's changed. Just the faces. Dude, you know what's funny? I've been saying this since the day I got here. And on top of that, I've been saying that since the start of the new season in March. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. With Lurie and Roseman, there's only one thing worse than their ignorance is their arrogance. They're not going anywhere. They're in dreamland. You know what, Sam? What's really ridiculous? Just if you let it alone and left it alone, you'd look like Baltimore and you'd be in the room. The Eagles are not. Dude, the Eagles are barely a playoff team right now. Dude, they're not a Super Bowl contending team. And the only thing that may cover is actually, I think the NFC is a little bit better than I thought it was going to be this year. Because there's more surprise teams. Minnesota, Chicago. Those are your Tampa Bay. There's Washington. There's more surprise teams than there have been in the past in the NFC. Okay? Absolutely. RC3, not a new scheme. Trip left bubble screen, quarterback power Hurts has frustrated this offense is all analytics with Sirianni's playbook. It's not a new scheme, RC3. Absolutely, man. So I don't want this team making the playoffs this year. Don't say that. You want them. I want them to. Okay? I'm tired of hearing about Haason Reddick's trade rumors. As if he is the answer. Dude, he's not coming back to Philly. That's over with. Howie would rather have the second-round pick than Reddick. Don't you understand that? His ego would never let that happen because that meant that he had to admit on the mistake of Huff, the money, and Smith. He's not doing that. Stop. That's the people who put that out there, that Reddick is going to have a conversation and come back to Philly, are fucking dreaming. You know that's not how that organization responds to that. Roseman and Lurie don't like to be shown up, and especially by themselves, by admitting mistakes. Haason Reddick back to Philly? Dude, you have a better chance right now of trading for Patrick Mahomes than getting Haason Reddick back. There's better odds that you would get Mahomes than Reddick coming back to Philly. So stop that. I mean, there's three different fundamental mistakes Howie would have to land on the sword for. The money, Huff, and Nolan Smith. And the trading of Reddick that now you're getting at least the two if they move him to Detroit. I mean, by the way, Haason Reddick's got a couple more weeks to sit on his ass. They're going to wait until the trading deadline, and then somebody will pull the trigger. But until then, that guy's sitting there in Drew Rosenhaus's office waiting for a phone call. Waiting for a phone call. Care what anybody says. That's how that's going to work, man. I agree with you. That's why I tried. I'm tired of hearing about it, Sills. You know what, though, Matthew? It's a week-to-week proposition, though. You see it every week. And they're doing nothing about it. It's like getting kicked in the nuts every week. That's why some of you guys go like this. Jesus Christ, here we go. It's the same fucking shit every week. Because it's the same stuff every year. Because it's the same way they do business. Get this. We have peeled the onion back for you since day one in April when I got here. Nobody in their right mind thought that organization, everyone was, remember when I got here, you all thought Nick made all the decisions? I'm like, that guy doesn't fucking make a decision. That guy doesn't make a decision on picking his nose without asking Jeffrey Lurie. We can't get Reddick. NFL rules prevent if he's going to Detroit. Okay? I'll take your word for it. Eagle fans blinded by Howie's shiny objects and thinks he's actually making the team better. Just a bunch of random pieces and puppet coaches. Hey, Gunner, show me where he made the defense better. Quinyon Mitchell? Probably. Jalen Carter? Maybe. Where else? Where did he make the defense better? In the last 3 years. Where's he made the defense better? He got rid of one of the best sure tackling linebackers in all of football in TJ Edwards. Boom. You let him walk out the building. Where actually has he gotten better? Show me where he's gotten better since 22 on defense. Name me one spot. Cooper DeJean? That's fucking ignorant. One play against Cleveland? 30 plays against Cleveland, and the Eagles are better. You have to give me a break on that shit. We have too many M. Reyes type clowns in our organization. Too much knee pad work and sausage artisans catering to mid-tier quarterbacks. Us real fans hate this team. You shouldn't hate it. I'm not saying hate it. Okay? Ojamo and Milton and Carter. And yet you're 29th. Way to go, M. Reyes. Take your fucking blinders off, guy. The defense is bottom 5. And this guy's crowing about a bottom 5 defense. You crazy guy? Bottom 5 defense. Cooper DeJean. Before you think of any moves with the Eagles, you have to first think how a move would make Howie and Laurie work. Isn't that crazy? You got to make sure your boss's egos are okay before you make a move. And think about that, Sam. Okay? Think about it. By the way, see this guy right here, M. Reyes? He's an optimistic Eagle fan. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Brian, there's nothing wrong with that. I actually welcome that. Okay? Last year, he had no answers when I turned out to be completely 1,000% right. Now he keeps posting the same shit that they were when they were 10-1. As a matter of fact, let me take M. Reyes, and I'll take a topic using M. Reyes' optimism. Hey, M. Reyes, may I take a topic from you and your optimism for your team? Can I? Would you allow me to ask a question about optimism, about your team? I'm a Commander fan looking at things from the outside. It's obvious the owner and general manager are the issue. We had the same issues for 25 years in D.C. Absolutely, Gunner. Shit drips down, not up. Okay? Shit drips down. Everything starts at the top. That's why the Cowboys are in the shape they're in. That's why Donald Sterling sucked with the Clippers forever. Anytime that you, okay? All right. I'm going to take M. Reyes' optimism. I'll ask all you this question. Nick Sirianni. M. Reyes, what kind of coach do you think Nick Sirianni is? I know what guys like LJ think. Okay. What do you think of him? He's Mr. Optimistic. I know what a lot of you think. Okay. M. Reyes, what do you think of Nick Sirianni? Okay. What do you think of him? Patel, good. A puppet. I know what you guys all think, except I'm looking for an optimistic guy here. I'm with the majority in here. I want to get Mr. Optimistic. Sirianni's the best coach for us right now. Okay. There it is. Well, let me ask this simple question then to all of you who are like M. Reyes. Guy's 37-19. He hasn't missed the playoffs since he's been there, and he's got an NFC title. Why doesn't the quarterback and the organization trust him? Why don't the fans believe in him? Guy with a record like that, you would think you have complete trust, not on the hot seat. People don't want to get him fired. How could a guy with a 37-19 record be on the hot seat? What head coach would come to Philly with egos like Laurie and Howie? I said this yesterday. No control. That's how you get zero like Sirianni. Let me ask you something. Love Hurt. He's 37-19. How many people believe that this coach has the endorsement of the organization? Do you think that this guy's this year coaching for his job? If Sirianni gets bounced in the opening round of the playoffs and makes it 4 years in a row and has like a 43-21 record, average 10 wins a year, actually 11 wins a year. 11 wins a year he could average. And they fire him? Why do I feel like the fans don't believe in him? They don't like him. And the organization kind of trusts him. The organization has to hire a bulldog bodyguard to be on the sidelines and Big Dom with him. And the owner has to tell him this week to apologize to the fans for his behavior. I mean, he's 37-19. How in the world is a guy like that on the hot seat? Wouldn't it be, hey, Prince, let me ask you, Prince, how many coaches, if they started their career out 37-19, would have the disdain of the fan base? And 90% of the fan base hates him. Have you ever seen anything like that? I thought about that. He's 37-19. That's quite a record. And the fan base hates him. Have you ever seen anything like this? Where a guy has won as much as this guy's won, and the fans hate him. You know, Xander says, well, you know, the fans may, or the players in the locker room may rally around him. The fucking city of Philly's not rallying around him. They can't stand this guy. They hate this guy. There's hollering of him being fired by the fans. They want this guy out. They hate him. Prince just said it. I hate Nick. He's not a silent minority. He's a silent majority. What are Sirianni's numbers as a play caller? Now, again, we're dissecting that, but as I showed you, he was 2-5. Last year, 11-6. He's 13-11 just with last year in his first 7 games. And if you want to go 3-2 and think he's part of it, that's 60. It's actually 16-14 being involved in the play calling. 16 wins and 14 losses. And the only time that they had a successful offense was when they didn't run a traditional NFL offense. They ran a college offense. Xander goes like this to me prior to the show. It's Hurts. Yeah, it is. Of course it's Hurts. Hurts is a college quarterback, and 22 showed it to you. Because what does Xander keep saying? Well, the NFL will catch up with that because the coordinators are too smart for that, and it's a college offense. No shit. That's why he got replaced at Bama. You know the one thing that Tua, if you go back and you look at that experiment and that whole process, what's the one thing that Tua has in spades over Jalen Hurts? You know what he has? Knowledge of the passing game. Knowledge of the passing game and where to go with the ball. Does Tua have a strong arm? No. Does Hurts have a stronger arm? Yes. Does Tua know where to go with it? Yes. Get this. Tua's not an anticipation thrower. He throws to spots and landmarks like Purdy does. Tua and Purdy are a lot alike. Nick brings nothing to the table as a head coach. Listen to Prince. I'm not saying he's wrong either. He brings nothing but a 37-9. Get this. Look at this comment by Prince. He brings nothing to the table as a head coach, and he's 37-19. I've never heard that before. A coach that is 37-19 and a city hates him. I mean, can you think of a coach like that? That was 37-19, won 70% of his games just about, and the city hates him? King goes like this. There's your problem right there. It's not your quarterback, it's your receiver. You'll never win. Can you imagine how great we'd be if we had a competent football guy like Ozzie Newsome to draft great football players? Sam, John Lynch, Brett Veach. Commander's new owner lets the front office do their job. And hey, Gunner, you know what else is happening in Washington? James Jones. You know what else is happening? For the first time in Washington, people are being allowed to do their gigs. One thing I'll say about Josh Harris, I'm not a fan of the guy because I don't think you can sit there and try to portray yourself as some sort of Philly guy on one hand with the Sixers and then turn around and bring a competitive team in the NFC East into Lincoln Financial and say this, hey, I'm a Commander guy. Well, who are you, guy? You're a half in, half out guy. You're kind of a carpetbagger. All that being said, he brings the Sixers the title. That's, I get it. But there's optimism in that city also because everybody's getting a chance to do their jobs. Nobody gets to do their jobs in Philly. Sirianni won't get fired until Doug is fired in Jacksonville. We kind of brought that up a couple weeks ago. I don't think you're wrong, Anthony. Laurie's waiting because he can't fire our head coach before they fire their head coach. The only guy who ended up bringing a Super Bowl to Philadelphia. It's dopey as that is, and I said it too. Unfortunately, I think there's something to that. Look at this. Completion percentage. Hurts is above Stafford. Let's just do this. What Brandon's saying, just to show you how fucked up this is. Completion percentage. Hurts is above Stafford. Would anybody take Jalen Hurts over Matthew Stafford? No. Would anybody take Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Kirk Cousins? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Brock Purdy? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Caleb Williams? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Justin Herbert? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Sam Darnold? Maybe. Would anybody take Hurts over Prescott? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Allen? Absolutely not. Would anybody take Hurts over Rodgers? No. Would anybody take Hurts over Lawrence? Probably. And would anybody take Hurts over Love? Never. You got two dudes on your list. That's a fucking ignorant comment. He's got a higher completion percentage, and he's 25th in accuracy. Oh, okay. The Eagle receivers are number 2 in separation, and your quarterback's 25th in completion percentage with that. And accuracy, excuse me. I mean, once again, it was a great conversation that Xander and I had at the beginning. You got 3 different components that are not on the same page here. Quarterback's wrong, coordinator's wrong, and you're running the same system, as Dan Orlovsky said this morning. Dan Orlovsky went like this. That does not resemble anything and any kind of offense that Kellen Moore has ever run. Nothing. it doesn't even remotely look like a Kellen Moore offense. Those are his words. And why is that? To what Xander said. Well, it's Hurts' offense. Right. Why is it Hurts' offense? Because it's incomplete. The quarterback can't read defenses. Been saying that since day one. Since day one. And that's your issue. Guy makes that comment today. Ask yourself, well, has the offense gotten better since? How about this? I said since the beginning of 24. Has Jalen Hurts gotten better since the start of 23? The answer is no. What's your excuse for that? Hey, here, let's expand that. How many people in here think Jalen Hurts has gotten better since the start of 23? Anybody? Reyes? Has he gotten better? His winning has gone down, for sure. The winning has gone down. 14-19. That ain't 14-3, I'll tell you that. We know that Little Caesars eating fake Paisan is gone. Okay? Would Dion interest you? We need a culture builder. Current culture aligns with the mute quarterback. Bumper. I'll take John Gruden. So what's the solution here, Sills? We all have these problems up and down the board. Where the Eagles going to go to fix this? Can't. Not until the organization addresses it. The only time that your owner has ever addressed it is Chip Kelly. When he gave the power to one guy. And would that ever happen again? Doubtful. Why is that? Well, we see what he does. He makes sure that Howie Roseman watches the dollars and cents that he spends. And he told Jeff, in my opinion, Jeffrey Lowery told him, if you're going to spend money, only spend it on the offensive side. This is an offensive league today. Do not spend money on defense. And quite frankly, that's the actions of the defense right now. Young in the draft and no investment. Seals, in their boardroom, Nick is underachiever because it's not getting the most out of the talent. Howie and Jeff won't admit their foundation is cracked. Nick actually masks their flaws. Actually, I think he distracts their flaws. Do you think anyone will give Gruden another shot? Daniel, didn't you give a guy who was in prison for murdering dogs and having dog fights and shit like that? Didn't you give him a chance? Get this. I don't really address this guy. But here. This goes to the topic I just said. How can a guy at 37-19 be on the hot seat? 3 straight playoffs. And everyone in Philly hates him. 95% of the fan base hates him. National media now has him as a punchline. 90% of the people say he's incompetent. How is that possible? How is it possible that he's made fun of by everyone and no one respects him if this guy's so good a coach? Have you ever seen a guy with a 37-19 record, having made the playoffs every year he's coached, fighting for his job? Have you? Have you ever seen that? Oh, no, senor. LJ says he's a better coach than Andy Reid. I asked him if he were to take Andy Reid or Nick. He said he'd take Andy Reid. It's kind of all you need to really know, in a way. That's kind of why I don't really answer the guy that much. Because the guy looks at the record and thinks the record makes the coach. Not true. I mean, that's like telling me that Dick Vermeil, you think Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Dick Vermeil. Well, Dick Vermeil didn't have the same win percentage as Nick, so you obviously must think that Vermeil's not as good a coach as Nick Sirianni, right? And look at this here with it's a great comment here. Hey Daniel, do me a favor. Look up Bill Parcells' win percentage. I think it's 608. I think Vermeil, who just went into the Hall of Fame, has a 580 win percentage, tick above 500. Look what Dan Quinn's doing to Washington right now. Washington. Dan Quinn also put a team in Atlanta in the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn has a Super Bowl ring as a coordinator up in Seattle. Sills, if you're Howie and Laurie, what moves are you making to improve the team, player, and coaching moves? Cosmo, so you're buying into the structure of the organization then, right? Right? Here's Ray. Chucky Gruden was a clown. That's why he can't get a job in the NFL. Well, let's just take what Ray's saying here. Folks, do me a favor. If John Gruden didn't have the emails, would he be employed right now as a head coach in the NFL? Yes. How much would he make? 15, 18 million? Do you agree? How about this? If the emails weren't there, would John Gruden be a head football coach in National Football League? Yes or no? And Mr. International, no doubt. Right? He'd be one of the highest paid guys, too. Right? I think he answered your question. I mean, let's not forget that Super Bowl, albeit you may say whatever you want about it being Tony Dungy's guys, John Gruden made 22 different moves, roster moves that year. That year they won the Super Bowl with the Bucs. Joe Jurevicius, guys like that he added to the roster. And the team he played in San Diego was a team that he built with Bruce Allen, the Raiders. And Bill Callahan was his number one lieutenant in Oakland at the time, and they gave him the job. So Gruden basically had two football teams in a Super Bowl that he won. That's who John Gruden was. And by the way, have the Raiders been better since John Gruden was the head coach there? The answer is no. What is the interest in Gruden? How good are his offenses besides Tampa in the Super Bowl? Oh, gee, really? That's like asking me how good are Doug's offenses outside of the Super Bowl. He's around 500, didn't exactly light it up. Dude, the Raiders are a train wreck under Mark Davis. Have the Raiders been more successful under John Gruden in the last whatever years he was there? Can you name me another time they were decent? In the last 20 years? When John Gruden was in Oakland. I mean, and by the way, you ever notice what kind of quarterbacks he has? He has veteran quarterbacks. You know why? He knows that you have to have a quarterback that's proficient in running a pro-style offense in today's NFL. And if you don't, you're lost. Sills, I think if we had a legitimate head coach, John Gruden, nasty LBs, edge rusher, we would be a Super Bowl contenders. Sam, of course you would. But that means there's an investment on the defensive side, and you also have to make investments in assistant coaches to develop these guys. RPO is a high school offense. Fair enough. All you have to do is attack the line of scrimmage, not going to work on Sunday, no screens, max or slide, bootlegs. It is. He's not. Whoever said Jalen Hurts was a pro-style quarterback? Do you ever notice, said, he runs a high school quarterback to a T, or runs a high school offense to a T. You put him in a pro-style offense, he flounders. Sorry, Sills. After that defense was slowing down and didn't get the most out of Chris Sims. Chris Sims. Really? Chris Sims. John Gruden got him $9 million a year and got him paid. And he was so overrated. Chris Sims? I never thought that guy was decent. I thought he was kind of okay. Chris Sims? Chris Sims, you're going to throw at me. That's like throwing at me Jeff Garcia. Oh, wait, he made the playoffs with Jeff Garcia. I forgot. I was there. I covered the team. Okay? I absolutely hate the Eagles' style of defense and offensive play. Yeah, because it's run by the owner's booth. It's run by the owner. I mean, what I'm doing here today, I want to tell you this. This is not for you to come here and get all pissed off and go, shit, let's throw this. I'm here trying to show you why the football team is not getting better. Jalen Hurts said in his press conference, every single day, I want to make sure that I'm learning more and I'm getting better. That's complete bullshit in all talk. What were his quotes? I want to show you what a full of shit guy Jalen Hurts is. Here. By the way, I'm going to give you another point on what's going wrong with the offense that he pointed out, or somebody pointed out at the presser, which was a great question. He said something about getting better every day. Week-to-week proposition and making sure that you get better. And I want to learn everything every day. He hasn't gotten better in a year and a half. That's not true. Here's the things he got better at. The blitz, for sure. It's coming along. Setting pass protection. I don't know. That offensive line can't run block to save their life right now. By the way, stop saying the Eagles have a great O-line, because it's not on display ever anymore. I have always thought that they were decent pass protectors. I never thought that they were exceptional, but I thought they were exceptional at doing both. You can be an 8 in pass protection and be a 10 in run blocking. You got the best O-line. Right now, they're probably a 7 in pass protection, probably an 8 right now in run blocking. But then again, that number continues to go down. Why? They don't run the ball. You don't run the ball. Shit, you're almost getting out rushed by the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns had as much rushing yards as you did, and I can't even tell you who their running backs are. A Chubb comes back this week for them. I have no idea who they are. So Hurts telling you that he's getting, everything every day is about getting better and better. Well, fuck, dude, you haven't gotten better. Pick and process information faster than Hurts. Yeah, but he doesn't have the skill set to perform it. This is what we talk about, what Xander and I were talking about. Hey, just because he can see it doesn't mean he can execute it. That's the same thing with Hurts. Hurts can see it. He just can't execute a pro-style offense. He never will. The Eagles are banging their head by putting a square peg in a round hole here, and it is frustrating to watch. You keep asking the question, dude, 99% of you, even my good friend Xander, thought that AJ and Devontae were going to make a massive impact on the offense and it would look smoother. Looked a little better. Obviously, it wasn't a reflection on the scoreboard, just like it wasn't a reflection on the one-loss record last year. Just because AJ and Devontae get their numbers doesn't mean it reflects in the one-loss column or on the scoreboard. That has nothing to do with it. You become predictable. You make it a 60-minute ball game. Well, Sills, they had a special teams. Well, the team is flawed everywhere. Special teams, defense, the quarterback, bouncy issues, suspect pass blocking. You're making it sound like this is a Super Bowl team. Sills, just saw a stat that Justin Fields has a higher passer rating this season than Mahomes, Hurts, and all the quarterbacks that you named. Shows that a solid coach can make a below average quarterback good. Yeah, and a good defense and a good organization. Here's what they have in Pittsburgh. Phenomenal owner. Phenomenal owner. Outstanding front office. Outstanding head coach. No quarterback. They're out. Pittsburgh can't win a Super Bowl with any guy they have in the building. Don't kid yourself. Look what Dallas has. Dallas has a sensational business owner. Football-wise, I don't believe so. Quarterback, middle of the road. Head coach is probably the best thing they have in Dallas. You want to hear that? I'll say it again. Mike McCarthy's probably the best thing they have in Dallas is the head coach. At least he's performed and won. Soft, we have an organization run by geeks. Every time I see Howie, I feel the urge to want to give a wedgie. Purple nipples, sickening. Quite an image. No, he's not throwing the ball. Of course, he has a better percentage. Hello. Hey, Prince, you see that bullshit too at the press conference? Hurts answered that question. Guy called him out on throwing across the middle. It just worked out that way. No, the fucking play calling dictates that. What a liar. It's just worked out that way? No. The coordinator doesn't trust you to throw it across the middle, so he doesn't call plays across the middle of the field. Why didn't somebody follow that up and say, wait a minute, so you're blaming Kellen for not throwing across the middle? How come somebody didn't follow that up with that? That shows you how soft that room is sometimes. Xander, I was floored. Somebody had a great question. I think it was Jeff McClain. Jeff McClain goes like this. Hey, you've had some issues in throwing the ball across the middle of the field. You have some of the lowest numbers in the league. Is that a preference? And I'm paraphrasing it here. And he goes, He came into some question and this and that. He even looked over at Jeff and said, did I answer your question? He goes, kind of. I thought Jeff was going to follow up and go, so you're blaming Kellen Moore for not calling more design plays across the middle of the field? That's why the slot never gets any use. The slot position, get this. Do you know the biggest mismatch in wide receiver? This position is not Y and Z. It's the slot. Why do you think there's so few of those guys? Because you take on more traffic and more contact in the slot. You're going against safeties, linebackers sometimes. You got to be a big dude in that position. You're going to get hit more. AJ doesn't want to get down in the slot. You know why? He doesn't want to get hit. He wants the contact. I don't blame him. If I can make $36 million sitting at the Y, having 4 footballs thrown to me, get my numbers, why do I care? Dude, honest to God, ask yourself this. You think it's more important for A.J. Brown to get $36 million paychecks deposited every Tuesday into his account or winning 12 or 13 games? I mean, common sense. Use it. The team is 27-7 regular season when AJ plays. He impacts winning. False narrative sells. The quarterback doesn't impact the winning. The wide receiver does. What a fucking joke that is. You'll never win with a guy doing that. Isn't it funny? Okay, there's no wide receiver in Green Bay or now up in Detroit or even with San Francisco that has that swing. And Anthony just exposes Hurts. Well, if you don't have his guy out there, he's no good. That shows you how – that right there, Anthony, shows you how you have middle-of-the-road quarterback. By that comment by him, they're 27-7 with Brown on the field. Without Brown, the quarterback's lost. Perfect narrative. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. I mean, this guy right here thought he had the comment. At the end of the day, he buried his quarterback. So if you don't have a wideout on your field, you can't win shit. Is that right? Wow. Okay. Sills knows his AJ take is wrong. What do you name me a wide receiver that has won a Super Bowl with these big name wide receivers that has won a Super Bowl prior to him getting a contract? Name me one. One. And if they're so important, why is Devontae on his third team? I mean, where? Big time wide receivers don't win Super Bowls. Quarterbacks do. Quarterbacks do. Dude, I'll say it one more time for you. You can have the greatest team the last two Super Bowls prove it. San Francisco and Philadelphia had the best rosters. Okay? But they didn't have the best quarterback or coach. End of the game. If you got a really good quarterback and a great quarterback, you're going to win Super Bowls. If you got a guy like Jalen Hurts, you'll never. Then you add on top of that loser coach, Nick Sirianni. Hurts got paid and has become arrogant. I don't buy that. I think Jalen's a good dude, man. He's not good enough. Has nothing to do with his character, has nothing to do with him as a person. That's the problem you have here. Everyone likes the kid. I like the guy. But that has nothing to do with winning ball games. Okay? That has nothing to do with it. And by the way, Hurts doesn't even hang around the rim any longer when it comes to putting your team in a Super Bowl. Last year, they were never even close to it. Wasn't like you were close. You were never close. Just like you never won in the NFL. I didn't know this was about me. It has nothing to do with me. What does my have anything to do with it? Don't get pissed off at me because I'm pointing out reality to you. It's not facts. It's the reality of where you are today. Okay? Get this. This is the most insane thing that you hear when you hear this. Mahomes never outplayed Hurts in the Super Bowl. Did he have better numbers? Outplaying means you make the play when it matters the most. That's outplaying. In games like that, that's outplaying. Not putting up more Kirk Cousins statistics and turning the ball over in critical moments in the game. Mahomes doesn't do that. And I would say this to you. I don't think really Patrick Mahomes has played any great Super Bowl games in the 3 wins he has. I don't think he has. But I'll tell you what, he's got 2 MVP awards. You know why? Because everybody that watches the game knows he makes a critical play at the critical moment. Hey, man. Congratulations to you. Hurts outplayed Mahomes, and Mahomes has the ring. It's quite a narrative, kid. My guy outplayed him, but Hurts is the silver medalist. Great. Congratulations. Glad you're happy with that. And this year, we will not be close. It makes me laugh when people say that we're going to turn our season around also. Also, Mahomes was broken in the Super Bowl and still won. Yeah, played on a gimpy leg, but hey, man, everybody was hurt in that game. A lot of people were. Okay, I mean, by the way, Forrest, let me ask you something here. For a 4-quarter football game, would you say that's the last time you saw Jalen Hurts play a great game? Was a year and a half ago? Would that be fair? Would that be his best game he's played in a year and a half when Shane Steichen left? Would that be fair? Was that Super Bowl game that he played 4 quarters of football? 4 quarters of football. Would that be fair to say that that's the last game you saw him play like that, where he was like an electric player? Okay. The conversation had nothing to do about being elite. The conversation was, you think that A.J. Brown's going to make a difference on a team. And by the way, in the last 2 years, you're 13 and what is it? You're 14-9 with your quarterback. Oh, that's right. When he misses a piece, they have a better win percentage because AJ's the star of the team. Be nice if your quarterback $50 million was. But hey, the New York Giants D-line is real, and Philly will play timid and call a bad game. Don't get a turnover in this game. You'll lose. Of course this is going down to the wire because of coaching limitations, not the roster. Absolutely true. Right. And limitations on the quarterback. Absolutely true. The league would be mad as shit if the Eagles ran the ball and showed the talent of the O-line in the first 2 quarters. Absolutely. Dude, Wayne, I think it's more the organization. They don't want to run the ball. They don't want to do the right thing. Get this. So think about that for a second, Wayne. Let me get this. Wayne, your strength is running the ball and your quarterback is running RPO, and the organization wants to do neither. Hurts had his best game ever, but didn't win. I'm just saying that's the best I've seen him play. Okay? Coach is 37-19, and everyone hates his guts. That's pretty crazy. I mean, 37-19, and they can't stand him. Wow. I've never seen anything like it. Usually when the guy wins as much as that, they revere him. They have them. Look at how they look at Dan Campbell. What's the difference between Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni? How come the fans and the organization and the team like him more than Nick? Pretty much the same record. Pretty much the same resume. Nick's got probably a better resume. He's got an NFC championship and been to a Super Bowl. How come more people think more of Dan Campbell than they do of Nick Sirianni? They were both drafted in 20 or hired in 21. Why do you think that is? Because one's not a word salad liar? I mean, Dan Campbell's job's not on the line. If Nick Sirianni loses to, let me ask you this. If Nick Sirianni loses to the Giants, do you think the temperature gets turned up on him and his job? I'm not saying they'll fire him in season, but don't you think that begins the process being 3-3 after 6 ball games in 7 weeks? Wouldn't you think? Here, look at this one here. Dan Orlovsky brought that up today about the play calling. The quarterback just had a press conference yesterday. I'm responding on what they're saying, dude. And they're saying the same shit. And by the way, you're playing the same football you played in 23. That's why it sounds redundant. Dude, I don't sit here. I don't even remember what I talked about yesterday. I really don't. That's not how I do my shows. My show is a day-to-day proposition on what's going on and what people are saying. Okay? And look, JB, now we know. Now my chances of ever going to you ever again are just because you want to be seen. Okay, I probably understand that. Because I know there's a lot of you in here that you're waiting for me to say hi, and I won't. Because I really don't care. Most of you are a box of rocks. 99% of you are awesome. So I don't really care. I swear to you, I don't care. Now, you just want to be heard. So again, I'll just do what I usually do. Ignore you. Hey, Xander, I missed Anthony's super chat. I want to make sure I get Anthony up here. 2-0 this year with Brown. 11-5 last year, missed a game. Okay, Quarterback needs to be better. Nobody is denying that A.J. Brown's not a good player, Anthony. I think we're kind of saying the same thing here. Anthony, I'm not disputing he's not productive, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl with A.J. Brown on your team. If that were the case, Kansas City would have traded for Davante Adams. They don't need Davante Adams. Why? They got a great quarterback. You don't have to have a great team. All you have to have, in my opinion, okay? I mean, the Lions let Campbell control his team. Nick just reads whatever Howie and Lurie write for him. Absolutely, man. That's the difference between the two, Anthony says. Yeah, one's authentic, man. Dan Campbell comes off as authentic. Nick Sirianni comes off as playing a role as head coach of the Eagles. No question about it. Dan Campbell brings toughness to the table for his team and allows his coaches to do their job. While Nick doesn't have a role, but pretends to be in every role. This is so correct. That is so correct. See here. Dan Campbell. Yep. Dan Campbell does bring the toughness. Absolutely to the table. Hurts for Miles. Pickett and Dallas for Cooper. Josh. Jalen Hurts for Myles Garrett. Are you freaking high? You think Cleveland wants another nightmare quarterback? They need to find themselves a decent quarterback, and Hurts wouldn't be the answer. Hurts is no answer for anyone. Are you crazy? I'm not building my team around that guy. That means I have to spend, what, $200 million to have the guy play decent? You realize that? You got to spend $200 million for Hurts to play decent. No way. No thank you. Remember I told Xander this? You're telling me, Sills, you think paying A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is the reason that the defense is in the shape it's in? Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Because no one's on second contracts over there. They don't develop players. They don't invest in player development on defense. They never have. And guess what? Your roster dictates it. It's not a take. Okay? That's not a take. You don't. Nobody's on a second contract. Josh Sweat, Milton, who else? I don't even know if Milton's going into a final year of his deal. And Brandon. No one else is on a second contract. I mean, here, get this. Sirianni has the highest win percentage among active coaches. Why is he on the hot seat? He can't answer this. He can't answer why everyone wants us fired and everyone in Philly hates him but M. Reyes. He can't answer that. Dude, I thought Philadelphia, hey, M. Reyes, I thought Philadelphia celebrated winners. Why don't they celebrate him? Why does Nick get frustrated with them and scream at him? It's sad the offensive talent we have on this team, and all we can talk about is how much of an ass Sirianni is. He brought that on himself, Daniel. Hey, we got JB here with a good one. Hey, I'll remind you all of this when you're paying salaries, because that's how they pay salaries, with viewership and season tickets. The next time, not to worry about money and why your season tickets are getting raised. JB doesn't give a shit about you either. So when they raise ticket prices and use ticket prices and local revenue and TV money to pay Jalen Hurts, and then they turn around and raise ticket prices 18% on you, I'll remind JB of that you have no concern or anything when it comes to the players that they're putting on the field when you pay 20% more for your season tickets. I'll remind you of that. Remember that. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't pay those players. You do. You do. Okay? It's the defensive scheme that's bad. Anthony, no, it's not. You don't have the players to execute it. Remember, I got Dave Wannstedt tomorrow, by the way. Okay? We got Merril Reese at 5:30 and Xander at the bottom of the hour. And I got Dave Wannstedt. He'll tell you. He told you this in the offseason and in the preseason. This is not a scheme thing. This is a talent thing. Dave has 3 Super Bowls and is considered the greatest defensive coordinator in Cowboy history. No coordinator in Cowboy history has more Super Bowls than Dave Wannstedt. Okay? Has a national championship as well. All right? And he'll tell you, Vic Fangio's scheme's not the problem. It's the players. You're not getting home. You don't have the players to play zone. And you don't have the safeties yet to play zone and cover the slot or cover the middle of the field. And you clearly don't have the linebackers yet. This is a personnel issue. Okay? I mean, this comes down to player development and executing. Sills, every issue this team has starts and ends with the organization's inability to draft and player develop. Talent and staff, correct. That is it right there. Talent and staff. Trading picks for players to salvage the season keeps up the merry-go-round. No question. You keep the conveyor belt of signing mercenaries. Then why is Carter's play up and down? Carter's play up and down is because he's not playing next to a good enough player, and the player's not playing up to his ability. You're going to blame Vic Fangio and Clint Hurt and Tracy Rocker for a guy's inability to be consistent? That's a player thing, dude. How can you blame a D-line coach or a defensive coordinator for a player sucking? Oh, wait, you do that with Hurts. Are you really under the – if I tell – get this. Anthony's trying to suggest this. Hey, listen, when the Buccaneers, who have 2 not very good guards and a rookie center, and you have Jalen Carter, who's the 9th pick and has all that kind of so-called skill, and you line him up in a 3 technique, and you say, I want you to wreak havoc, play your techniques, work on all the fundamentals, and he gets into a game and gets blown off the ball, you're telling me that's Vic Fangio's issue? Or is that the player getting killed at the point of attack? How dumb is that? You're blaming a D-line coach for a guy getting knocked off the ball 3 yards? How about want to play a little bit and have a little, what's that word Sirianni uses? Accountability for yourselves. Dude, playing defense is an attitude, and I don't think they have the attitude to play it over there. Tell you this, they're pass rush last week against the Browns. Congratulations. I mean, Michael, I don't have an issue with Sirianni. He helped get us to a Super Bowl. My issue is with the front office, with their hands on everything, especially the picking of players and their offensive philosophy. Mike, you're saying you don't know how bad Sirianni is or good he is as a coach because there's too many voices and too many hands on the playbook and on player development. I'll tell you one thing is for sure, Mike. There's not a press conference that Nick Sirianni doesn't do that he gives Howie Roseman credit for his talent evaluation. He knows how to play the game. John McMullen wrote a column on that. The politics of Nick Sirianni is why he keeps his job. There's no other reason for it. It's the fact that he knows how to play that front office, and he knows the game they want played, which, quite frankly, that's counterproductive to all the things he says at press conferences, that he's got to worry about how he conducts himself so that the front office doesn't get their panties in a bind is not football-related issues. There lies another issue of lack of focus on game plan. Nick's got to worry about how the front office perceives things and the analytics that they hand to him instead of worrying about the game plan itself. All the things he says about accountability and how he has his name on everything is true. But at the end of the day, when you've got to cut a portion of your day out worrying about how to do, like am I right, Xander? The politics of Nick Sirianni is part of that process on preparing for your game each and every single Sunday is counterproductive to winning. How would you like to do this? Put a game plan together with your coaches. And a lot of the information you get from the owner's kid, that be so what it is, you have to deal with it. Okay, so you're dealing with that. Then in the process, you look at the game plan. Then you got to run it by the general manager and the owner because you know why? They want to be involved with it. So you got to run your game plan up to them, and those guys look over it, and they give suggestions, and Nick is put in a position to where he may change analytics inside of a game plan so that it will fit their egos. That's what Nick Sirianni's dealing with. And to Xander's point, he's brought this up numerous times. That's exactly what he does. So at the end, are they in his way too, like they're in Jalen's way? Yeah. Think about it. No. Nick's not the problem. Think about what Nick has to think. Hey, here's a normal coach like Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's going to put the game plan together. He's not running it by the front office of the Steelers. All the coaches inside the coach's office come up together with how they're going to script their first 25 plays. You know why the first 25 plays look so chaotic? Everyone's got an opinion on what the first 25 plays should be. When they get off that script and off the advice of others, they're better. I've never seen a football team spend a week on a game plan, and the first 25 plays are the worst part of the game plan. Am I right when I say that? Your first 25 scripted plays are the worst part of your game plan. And then when they get off of everybody's opinions, they actually look better. They look better. Most coaches are putting a game plan together with their. Here's what Nick has to do. Hey, thanks, Julian, for the intel. Guys, we have to put a game plan together. Here's all the statistics and trends on what teams like to do, like the Giants like to do this on 1st and 10. So let's make sure we have this in the game plan. They get the game plan together. They put it all together. Kellen Moore and all them put the game plan together. I don't think they really do this so much on defense because the organization doesn't give a shit about defense. Look at what they've done spending money-wise. So what they do is, after they get the game plan, he has to go up and he has to show it to Jeffrey and Howie. Or Howie's in the room. They look at the game plan. They make suggestions. Hey, you know that analytic play that you're thinking of running on the third sequence in the first series? We're saying that there's a 42% chance that you can have more success at this moment here with this play. So you know what Sirianni will do? He'll cross that out and put that play in under the advice of the analytics people. Do you understand the job this guy has? He's basically talking to two different coaching staffs. He's coaching to his own coaching staff with his game plan. Then he's got to go to the owner's game plan with the owner's staff, and that's why it's so fucking chaotic. That's the job Nick Sirianni has right now. That's his job. Because the front office is involved in the game plan. He has said it. How he sits in these meetings. How he looks over at the game plan and makes suggestions. It gives analytics. And goes, you know, you guys went on that fourth play in the first series. In the first series, you might want to do this one because analytics came up with, you know, an RPO is better here, or a read option play might be better here because that's what it says 42% of the time. And so what do? They have to compromise because why? According to John McMullen, the politics of Nick. Do you understand how hard his job is? Nick Sirianni's got the hardest job there is next to Mike McCarthy. Because this guy has to pass his game plan over to the owner and the GM. What do you think, guys? You think Andy Reid's fucking doing that with Brett Veach? Hey, Brett, what do you think? Do you actually think? Now, I wouldn't mind John Lynch because John's a Hall of Fame player, but I doubt Kyle Shanahan's going like this. Hey, John, what do you think? You think Matt LaFleur is going up to Brian Gutekunst and going, what do you think of this? Sirianni's got a tough job, man. He's terrible behind the mic. I don't really give a shit about that in a way. I think it's funny, and I like goofing on it. By the way, Krauss and Broad, you're welcome for my content. I'm glad that you saw the fact that I thought he looked like the guy from Taxi Driver 2. Congratulations to you. We really appreciate it. By the way, it's a merit badge for us here at JAKIB that you take our content. So thank you very much. And by the way, I know WIP does too. So, hey, welcome aboard. That guy doesn't have that easy of a gig, dog. That's why Xander's getting sick and tired of it going like this. I mean, is it really him? Fuck no, it's not him. I'm sorry, Seals. How can Carter or anyone get pressure when the corners play 10 yards off the ball? It's a scheme. Well, you got 70 sacks doing that in 22, didn't you? I mean, help me out, Anthony. That same scheme got 70 sacks, second most to the Bears of 85. Am I correct? You were 2 sacks off the all-time sack record of 72, right? You had 70. I don't know, man. You're right, though, Anthony. 22 starting to be a fucking mirage. Did that happen or didn't that happen? I'm not really sure. All right. Oh, man. Hold on here, man. Hey, listen, I don't want anybody moaning and crying in here. But I'm telling you, man, you guys thinking this is getting better. I'm thinking there's no way. I want you to show me how it's getting better. Stills, it's the Giants. No shit, it's the Giants. No shit, you lost to them last year too. I'm seeing the same shit now. All right. Hey, we got 2 guys coming up here today that are going to make you feel better, though. Ready? One is Merril Reese at 5:30. And by the way, you hear my boy in the morning with John McMullen. By the way, John is becoming very Sileo-ized. I think my influence is kind of, John's great. By the way, they answer his questions. John doesn't fuck around in those meetings there. Without further ado, my friend, Big Z, Xander Krauss, the host of Birds 365. How you doing, boss?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
All good, man. Appreciate it. You know, I got a question right out of the gate off that press conference from Hurts yesterday.
All right, let's hear it.
So when someone asked the question to Hurts about throwing across the middle, I think it was Jeff McClain.
Yeah, it was either him or Tim McManus.
Okay, ask the question. Hurts' answer was, well, it just worked out that way.
Not a very good answer.
Why didn't one of the reporters follow up and say, so you're blaming your coordinator for not calling plays across the middle of the field?
Well, that's because it's Jalen who's checking into a lot of those plays.
So he lied then. It was him lying that he doesn't. It just worked out that way that we're not throwing across the middle.
I see what you're getting at. Somebody definitely should have followed up on there so we could have had clarity. It's not like they probably would have given us the real answer anyway there. But yeah, it's interesting. I thought that was his worst answer of the press conference on that.
Yeah, because what he did was he goes, it just worked out that way. Okay, so the coordinator's not calling plays across the middle of the field. Is that right? So it's Kellen Moore's issue on the play calling.
I guess that's a part of it. I mean, like I said to you before the show, I think a lot of this is, they gave Jalen full autonomy at the line of scrimmage this year. He's checking into a lot of plays. Whether that's good or bad, you can make the decision. I think the truth is that he is checking into a lot of plays, though.
Okay. So the way you're sounding, he's checking out of Kellen Moore's offense and into the 22 offense of Nick Sirianni's of a year ago because he feels more comfortable. He has to be
what do you mean? When you say Kellen Moore offense, what do you mean?
The Dallas Cowboy offense.
Okay, why would they run the same offense with Jalen Hurts?
Because that's all he's ever run.
Okay, but he has a different quarterback.
The wrong quarterback.
Okay, I'm saying Kellen Moore doesn't have a 40-year career in the league. Kellen Moore coached Dak Prescott and he coached Justin Herbert.
Are you under the assumption that a quarterback coach or a offensive coordinator will change to a skill set of a player? Kyle Shanahan couldn't. He couldn't change to a run style offense.
I think they should. Why would you not accentuate the talents of your players?
That's because you get the player you want to fill your offensive need, like you say with Brock Purdy.
That's
Purdy
not how
fits
it works in coaching.
Really? Okay, name me a coordinator who is running RPO right now and who is coaching. Todd Monken's an RPO guy. He came from the college ranks. Actually, he was at Navy when he ran that style of play. Name me a
why did they hire Todd Monken?
Because they run RPO up there.
Well, because that's what Lamar Jackson's skill set is.
Correct.
Yeah.
They have the right coach. They have the right coach and the right quarterback.
Did they hire the wrong coordinator is a fair one. But to sit here and expect Kellen Moore's offense to look like it did with Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert is just stupid. That's not Jalen Hurts' style.
Yes, that's what they want. They want him to be more of a pro style.
That's a different conversation, my friend.
No, it's not. Because
Yes,
you're
it
saying
is.
that. Okay, then get this, what they're doing then. So you're saying that he's not running Kellen Moore's offense and checking out into what?
This is what Kellen Moore's offense looks like with Jalen
What's
Hurts.
he checking into? Whose offense then?
It's Jalen Hurts' offense, dude.
Okay, Jalen Hurts' offense is okay. So that kid who's not a pro-style passer is checking into some phantom offense that he has in his brain, according to you.
What do you mean phantom offense in his brain?
Look,
I watched him
checking out of
line of scrimmage.
If he's checking out of Kellen Moore's design plays for that sequence of plays, what's he checking into? Some infamous Jalen Hurts play.
Evidently go routes all day. It's go routes. It's go routes or bust. Look, I have a problem with that, but I'm not going to sit here and expect the Kellen Moore offense to look just like it did in Dallas or LA. It's a different quarterback. It's going to look different. I think people are conflating the two issues. Is Jalen Hurts a competent quarterback enough to run an offense that Kellen Moore wants? That's a different question than why does Kellen Moore's offense look like this with Jalen Hurts? It looks like
the same as a year ago.
Why?
Because it's the same offense.
Because it's what the quarterback likes.
Dan Orlovsky and you're not on the same page with Dan and I, because Dan and I agree that offense doesn't resemble anything Kellen Moore has ever done.
I know that, but I'm not. It's because this is what the quarterback likes. It's a simple
quarterback
offense.
Is the
they don't
wrong
run
guy.
Complex schemes. They don't have dropbacks. They don't put them under center at all. They barely
He's
even
the
use
wrong
him in the
hire.
pistol. What's that?
He's the wrong hire.
That is a different conversation. I think you're probably right. He's the wrong hire. I think
he's going to check into these infamous plays that they don't call.
What do you mean these infamous plays? I don't know what.
What is he checking into? What, something that we talked about?
Go routes. That's it,
dude. So the guy designs Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and Musmeyer sit down all week long and design the first 25 plays. Hurts audibles out of all of those, and why they haven't scored.
I wouldn't audible. He's not supposed. You shouldn't be audibling at it, especially the first couple plays.
Can I tell you here? Tell me if you at least agree to this.
I think we're saying the same thing. We just have different versions of getting there. I don't expect Kellen Moore's offense to be traditional play action like it was in Dallas.
Doesn't it make sense to you that the top 25 plays that they have been the biggest failure in the offensive game plan? And these are plays that they have scripted, analytically thought about. Doesn't the offense look better once they start ad-libbing off the script and not on script? Because that quarterback is a non-script player. He plays better off script than he does on script. Like 22, he's better. The offense gets better. But when you design these plays and these pass plays, and he's either, like you say, checking out, doing something else, not throwing and threatening across the middle, Hoss, it's the same shit as a year ago, just with different names. And the quarterback, once again, is not competent to run a pro-style offense like he wasn't in Alabama. Okay?
The difference
between Tua, I see it now. The difference between Tua and Hurts is glaring. And here's why. Tua doesn't have a great arm, but you know what he does? He throws the landmarks. And he's great at knowing what landmark it is to throw. Does Jalen have a stronger arm? Yeah. Is Jalen a better athlete? Yeah. But Jalen has no pocket presence, and he can't see the field like Tua can. Tua is by far, Tua's a lot like Purdy. He's
okay,
a left-handed
all right, so
Purdy.
what you're saying, though, it makes so much sense, but it also contradicts with your expectation at the start of the segment. If you were the offensive coordinator and you knew that about your quarterback, what would you run?
Hey, what they ask me and what they want me to run. The owner, and like you told me that John McMullen and you both tell me that this is an organizational decision that they want him and this offense to be, you're paying $51 million in receivers. They want this to be a pro. Kellen Moore was hired by the owner and the GM because of exactly where the money's being spent. Quarterback and receiver. That's it, dude. You don't even run the ball anymore. You don't care to run the ball.
I have a conspiracy theory, too, for you about Cliff Kingsbury.
Tell me.
It wasn't about Jeff Stoutland. Cliff Kingsbury wanted to run his own offense, and they didn't want him to do that. They said that's not going to be pass happy. That's not going to be pass happy enough, and we're not doing that. And then they used the report, he wanted to remove Jeff Stoutland. You're telling me Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't have accepted the job if you said, hey, you can have all your own coaches, but we're not getting rid of Jeff Stoutland, who's been the greatest offensive line coach in the NFL for the better part of 20 years. I'm not buying that. That's just a theory. I have no way to back it up. I don't think John even knows the answer either. But, it's interesting to think about Cliff Kingsbury, the way he's running that offense in Washington with I don't want to say they're similar styles because I think Jaden's a lot better in the pocket than Jalen is.
He is.
But he's more accurate. Yeah, he's a very accurate quarterback, very good quarterback. I just wonder if that's part of what happened with Cliff Kingsbury because, as you point out, I don't think Kellen Moore's – look, I was super high on Kellen coming into the year because I was expecting a pro-style offense that Jalen would get better in, and you pointed it out. There's going to be some hiccups early in the year no matter what, right? I thought that he was going to get better, but they're not running him in any sort of pro-style mode at all. They have him sitting in gun all day. They're not even running him in pistol at all. It's gun, 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 gun. That's it. That's all they're running. It's the same thing. And then every third or fourth play, really even it's been more than that, Jalen goes up, he sees A.J. Brown in single coverage or press man coverage, and he checks into a go route. And it looks the exact same. That's why the route trees look the same. That's why everything looks the same. Because I believe this is the offense that Jalen Hurts likes to run within what the organization wants, which is pass happy.
It will never get better.
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that
I got a question for you here. Something that wasn't followed up at that presser as well. And it's a great observation because I went back this morning and watched the 22. Why do you think the plays are getting in longer? And why do you think they're taking longer to get into the quarterback, giving him less time in the pocket? Because here, this is one thing that Bill Walsh told me. One of the greatest things that a quarterback can have is great feet. And getting back into the pocket so he can process the intel that he's looking at. He said the great quarterbacks like Montana and Elway and those guys have great feet. Great feet is what makes a quarterback, not a great arm. You get back in your drop, you process the information, you see the field, you have more time. Brady was great at it as well, constantly working on his feet. Same thing with Manning. How many times
Peyton Manning tremendous at it right now?
What's that? Dude, that's when people say, Sills, who's a great quarterback? I go like this. Look at their feet. Bill Walsh told me, always look at the feet. Don't look at the arm.
Purdy, this is what makes Purdy competent in the league, is how quickly he's identifying defense. So to answer your question, because honestly, I think this is a better question for you. I was going to ask you, what causes that? My theory would be, as I look at it and I say, is Kellen getting the play calls in late? That doesn't seem that likely to me. How long does it take him to get in a play call? And he's been doing this for 5-6 years. Or is it getting down to the end of the play clock because Jalen is trying to read the defense and see what's out on the field? And then when he switches, you're down at the bottom of the play clock. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't have the answer.
A little of both, and I'll tell you why. I'd like to know inside the headsets and on the green dot, how many voices Hurts has in his ear at one time when the play comes in. And secondly, I do think that they're probably giving him more time to process where they think the pressure's coming from. He has gotten better at that. Okay. Remember, He's got to now set protections. So maybe what they're doing is they're giving him an opportunity at the line of scrimmage and he's looking over. But for the play clock to get down to 19, okay, 18, 17, think about it. You get into the huddle, you're coming out, you got 9 seconds to get the playoff. I mean, defenses are at an advantage. The closer you get to set ready, where you have to put the O-line, that means to me, get this, Xander, what can I do once the quarterback goes set ready? That means I can take a coverage that I had pre-snap and move a guy because what? You can't put a guy in motion after that. Once you're down and set, you can't. You're ready to rock. I can't hear you.
Is that the rule in the NFL about that? Set ready once.
That's what Jonathan Vilma would tell you, that they used to wait for Peyton Manning to get down to 3 seconds. And once he got down to 3 seconds, they would move their defense once he set the offensive line, especially when it came to blitzing. So, I mean, that was a big thing that they won.
So the reason for the play clock would be what, in your opinion?
Too many voices either in his ear. He's still learning on how to set the protection, okay? And if he's audibling out, think about what you're saying that he's doing. So get this, by the time he's getting to the line of scrimmage, to the conversation you and me are having about this is Jalen Hurts' offense. So you're telling me this is what he does. By the way, we'll read all super chats, I promise.
Yeah, appreciate all you guys, man.
You're telling me that you think he gets to the line, play clock is winding down, he's looking at protection, okay? And then on top of that is he hears the play, he gets everybody to play, and in that process, he gets to the line of scrimmage, he changes the play. That's what he's doing? But if that's the case, that's one of the reasons why that play clock is winding down on him then.
Yeah, I know. But to your point about the multiple voices and Senor brings that up.
How many people?
I thought you could only have one. I thought that was like a league rule.
Okay. Well, maybe how about this? How many voices are in Nick or Kellen's ear that are telling?
That's probably the better. Yeah, it says one coach is able to communicate with a quarterback in the NFL through helmet radio.
So then it's Kellen. Kellen has multiple people probably talking to him about a.
Yeah, well, because Nick has said that. Nick has said on the headset he's on with Kellen. So I think the question could be there. You know, maybe that's part of the reason the play call is getting in slow. You know, I think the common sense approach would be it's probably more on the quarterback who's taken over the pre-snap reads for the first time in his career. And there's going to be a ramp-up period for that. There's going to be some speed bumps, you know, on doing that effectively. It's not like Peyton Manning or anybody just came in the league and said, okay, this is how you call defense, boom, 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 get it all done quickly. So that's probably the more common sense approach. But look, many people are speculating that Nick is still overriding everything. And maybe that is what it is. I think this organization is a lot more powerful than people are letting on. And if they didn't want Nick doing that, Nick wouldn't be doing that. And I don't think Nick has as much power as we believe. Nick is a puppet for the guys upstairs.
No. That's what I pointed out to you. Here's Nick's job. He sits down with Howie in the room. They put a game plan together. They look at older coaches, and then what they do is with the analytics sheet that Julian gives them, they put a game plan together. And this goes to John's article. John wrote about this. Then he looks at Howie. Howie and Jeff are involved, as Angelo says, in every aspect of this football team, especially on Sundays. And believe me, here's Nick's job. He's got to, deal with his coaching staff putting a game plan together. Then he's got to deal with the owner's game plan and the owner's coaching staff, the analytics people, and he's got to suffice those guys. Nick actually, in theory, has a pretty fucking tough job. That's why he constantly brings up the owner, and he brings up Howie, and he allows Howie to play in the game and in the sandbox with him. He has to suffice his guys, the owner's guys, and make a game plan. That's why, Xander, the first 25 plays look like the most chaotic plays in the game plan is because there's too many voices. I mean, it's evident. You haven't scored a point in 5 games in the first quarter. Why? You got too many people fucking telling you what to do. Yeah. Plays are coming in late. You don't have a sequence of plays. And what's the one thing that Jalen and everybody keeps saying? Kellen Moore says this all the time. You know, we got to get a rhythm going. You're not going to get a rhythm going when you have multiple voices inside the offensive coordinator's ears. Okay, it's not the quarterback. I didn't know about that rule. I didn't know that you had to have.
I thought I heard that rule somewhere, and John mentioned it before. You're only allowed to have one in the quarterback's ear
But I know this for a fact that the head coach,
yes, he's on
where
with
he
Kellen.
can go to both.
Yeah.
I've seen the headsets, and you can be on
No,
that.
you're 100% right about that. Kellen is not just talking to Jalen. He has Nick. He probably has some of the maybe the dudes up in the booth, the passing game coordinators, some of those dudes. I'm sure they're all in Nick's ears, or in Kellen's ear. But maybe that's where the communication's problem. Maybe it's not coming from Jalen. I mean, that's a plausible theory if you're under the belief that Kellen Moore does not have autonomy to run an offense in a game.
No way. No way.
See, I think Kellen does within the game, but it's all set beforehand.
Nick says that he calls plays and overrides them. Yeah. He says it.
Yeah, but dude, Nick is feeding.
Okay, now wait. Believing that is one thing. Also,
yeah,
okay?
That's a whole new ball game. Believing that. That's like people believing. And there's people all over YouTube right now talking about it. Nick didn't call a defensive play.
We laughed on the post game. We laughed.
That's a joke. Nick did not call a defensive play, nor did Nick call the 3rd and 1 play that he took credit for. But everybody takes that to the bank, and like you pointed out, maybe Nick should start saying what he does right because everyone just thinks he's a retard.
Well, how about this though, Xander? John McMullen's sitting at Lincoln Financial in the press area going, "You don't really think that guy called that play?" And I'm going like, "Way to go, John! Way to go, dude! That was great." Now, here, let me take you to this now. In your brief time working content and seeing the rest of the coaches around the league and other professional coaches, have you ever seen a coach that's 37-19, 3 straight playoffs, and the success of the greatest win percentage in the history of one of the marquee franchises in pro football, have a city where they hate him so much? They got guys out front of the NovaCare Center with signs that say "Run the ball," and they can't stand this guy. With all of his success, Xander, why is his job in jeopardy? And why do people in Philadelphia, at least 80% of the fans, hate this guy and want him fired? The media, national media, thinks he's a punchline now, and now they're comparing
now you know why
Now
you know why the owner and the GM like him.
Oh, my point to you is, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, you don't.
I thought Philadelphia people honored winners.
Well, we fired our Super Bowl coach 3 years after he won our only Super Bowl in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I thought you celebrated winners.
We were supposed to, but honestly, we've gotten far away from that in this city. Look at the dude, Philadelphia.
Rob Thompson.
Philadelphia is down bad in the last. Have you seen that graphic floating around social media of all of the losses we've had in the last 3 years?
No.
Oh my God! I'd love to find it and pull it up for you. It's the Philly Super Bowl loss, and then they collapse in the NLCS last year. The Eagles lose the Super Bowl and then collapse 7-1.
It's an indictment
bounced in the second round every single year. It's like Philadelphia is just, dude. I'm nervous that you're taking on that sort of mentality. Not just the city, but that was my worry going into the Browns game is, early in Jalen's career, whether you liked Jalen or not, or saw Jalen's deficiencies or not, or Nick's deficiencies or whatever it was, that team won ball games, man. That team their culture was like, and this bet, like I said to you before, you were on the Miami Hurricanes, the prime Miami Hurricanes. One loss, and you guys was unacceptable. One loss.
The season was over.
That's how you viewed it. So that's where I was worried with Philly recently, especially the Eagles. You're what, 3 and now you're 4-8 in the last 12, and I'm worried. All right, now we're starting to get used to losing, and it almost seems like it doesn't matter.
Last year.
What's that?
You're 14-9 since last year, counting the playoffs.
Yeah, but even before that, before the collapse, when you were 10-1, I know you don't like to talk about that, 10-1, and then you were 14-3 the year before that with 2 playoff wins. I mean, you were 16-5 or 16-4, and then you were 10-1. You were 26-4. You won 26 out of 30 games. That's a culture of winning. Losing is not common to you. Now the last 12, it's been different. Now I think they're good. I think they're going to turn it around here. I think we are going to go on a couple wins here. I think we're going to win probably at least the next 3 straight. I don't see how. Look, I understand the problems with the team. I just do not see.
Really?
I do not see us losing to the Giants. I don't see us losing to the Jags. I think the Bengals could be a tough matchup, especially when you're playing Joe Burrow. Like, boy, Baker Mayfield had a field day with this defense. What the heck is Joe Burrow going to do? That's a fear of mine. But you get to 6-2 and you beat a bunch of scrubs. What does that fix for us? Then you fall into the same trap of being like, oh, we're 10-1, we're the greatest team on earth. You're probably not at that point. So we have to see how they develop, but we'll see.
All right, let me ask you something here.
Oh, look at that, dude. 522 in the chat, 118 likes. We got to get them likes up.
Get them likes up. Let's go, please, guys. So let me ask you something here. You think Kellen Moore's been a better coordinator than Brian Johnson?
No. Why? What's he done better?
Do you think that Vic Fangio's been a better coordinator than Sean Desai?
Not particularly. See, the Brian Johnson one's way different than the Vic Fangio one for me. Because the defense, I'm going to have a problem with this defense no matter who's calling it. And honestly, how much of a team? What's that?
Desai was 10-2, I mean.
Yeah, 10-2 when he was fired.
When they fired him.
Sir, why the heck did they fire that guy? I mean, even if you didn't like the guy, you got to let him finish the year, right?
I mean, he had beaten Allen. He had beaten Mahomes.
Everybody in the chat reminds us every day, oh, we beat Mahomes. I know we beat him. Right.
My question is, those 2 coordinators you had, why don't you just let those guys sit in the room and develop maybe this year and develop those guys and give them another opportunity like you gave Nick and give those guys, hey, Xander.
Yeah, that's on our owner, Phils.
If it takes more time to develop a quarterback, doesn't it take time to develop coaching staffs also?
It does. Look at Jalen in the second year. I mean, with Kellen Moore. And everybody talked about that. But I think because –
You mean with Shane Steichen in the second year, he was 14-3.
Sorry. I think they should have kept Brian because everybody – look, the organization has a scapegoat problem, and it's an owner problem. John McMullen talks about this all the time. He said it's his number one knock on the owner, and he believes the owner is a great owner, the best owner the Eagles have ever had, which he's probably right about.
He's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had many.
He's better than anything, and I love Norman, but no. And Toads, no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
the guy gambled the team away. Absolutely not. You might have to go back to Burt Bell in the 60s.
No, but John always says my number one knock is he's got to scapegoat somebody. He always has to have a scapegoat. Last year was Brian Johnson. He got scapegoated out of here, and everybody. I mean, look, I hope everybody that's listening right now that had a problem with Brian Johnson knows that our problems were not just on Brian Johnson. He maybe wasn't ready to be a coordinator. I'm fine with that conversation. But to sit here and say the problems and the reason we collapsed and the reason our offense didn't work down the stretch was all on Brian Johnson is, I think, very naive. I don't think it was all on Brian Johnson. I think there's organizational issues here. And that's why you see the same thing right now with Kellen Moore.
My problem is you should have brought both coordinators back and gave them a chance to mature as coordinators.
I think you're right. I mean, I think they'd still be working within a system that's probably has big flaws, but I think you're right about that for sure. The Vic one I don't have as much of a problem with because they wanted Vic last year, and the timing didn't work out with going to the Super Bowl.
He was the third choice. They wanted the guy from Georgia, or they wanted Vic. Vic went to Miami.
They wanted Vic, and then Vic went to Miami, and they were a week late, and then Vic ultimately didn't work out in Miami because maybe his defense just doesn't work for superstars. That's why they all disliked him down there, which is a whole nother conversation. But so the Vic one didn't surprise me. Like Sean Desai never seemed like they were that. I mean, look. Looking back on it, doesn't Jonathan Gannon look like a genius?
Yeah, because
he had 70 sacks with this style.
Yeah, and by the way, he doesn't run that same defense in Arizona.
Yeah, does he? I don't know. I haven't followed.
Hey, he's more aggressive. He's more aggressive on bringing
the defensive
pressure.
Scheme is brutal, and Anthony, brought it up earlier too, as well as Prince. Talking about the why Jalen Carter's inconsistent right now. I would go further than saying it's just the cornerbacks. It's the edge rushers too. Your edge rushers are providing nothing on the outside. It's making life impossible in the middle for Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I mean, they don't even have to worry about. Dude, we have tight ends picking up right now.
We start these conversations when you do this. We're going in the same direction, but yet we're having a different conversation. It's not like tomorrow I'm having Wonstadt on. Wonstadt's going to tell you, dog, This is not a scheme issue. This is a production issue with players. If you're going to hire Vic, you better have competent corners and safeties. You better have edge. By the way,
my only
you know what Gannon had? You know what Gannon had that you don't have? You had competent players at every fucking level. Linebacker, edge rushing, tackles, safeties. Hey, you know that Epps kid? That Epps kid, he was a good ball player, and those two corners benefited off the 70 sacks, Xander.
Oh, big time. Big time. But to your point, you had somebody at every level that was competent. I mean, Haason Reddick, even Josh Sweat had a decent year that year. Brandon Graham was still playing. Fletcher Cox was still in there. Yeah.
Had 11 sacks.
Who had 11? Sweat?
Graham had 11. Josh had 11. What's his name at 16?
Let's look up the 22 defense at 22.
That 22 defense, you had 4 guys with multiple sack years. You had Brandon Graham had 11. Sweat had 11. Reddick had 16. What's his name? Fletcher Cox had 6. What's his name? Hardgrave had 11.
Brandon Graham, 11 sacks. Sweat, 11 sacks. Hargrave had 11. Haason Reddick had 16. Holy man.
Look, and how many?
Fletcher Cox had 7.
Fletcher had 7. Look at that. And look, you know what? That's why when you had Linval Joseph and you had Adama Suit, you weren't asking those guys to come in there and create pressure. You're already creating pressure off your front 4.
Dude,
so when people go like this, Jonathan Gannon had the advantage of having great players at every level.
We're through what, 5 games this year? We're not going to see.
You had more sacks in the Browns game than you had the whole 4 games going in.
Yeah, it's true. What do we have, 5 in the Browns game?
You had 5. You had 5 for the year. You had 5 when you left the Browns game. Now you got 10. And the Giants have 26, and they lead the National Football League. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you here. I'm going, it dawned on me. Does Vic Fangio's defense, does it look better than what Sean Desai did at 10-2? Albeit he got killed by.
Yeah, but here's my only pushback. You're right that the players got to play better, and a lot of the players aren't performing up to it. Mainly your edge rushers, and I don't think the cornerbacks have been bad. But like you said, they looked a lot better when your edges got home for 70 sacks. I hate this defensive scheme. I really do. I hate it. I despise.
I think it's a thing, though, Xander. I think you see a lot of this kind of style of Ben.
It is. But my only point in saying it is, even if the players are playing great, I'd still want a different defense. And I think the league is catching up. I really think the league is so far caught up to this thing, it's not even worth running anymore.
You know what would change this scheme? If you had a guy who was a 12, 13 sack. Let me tell you something. If Bryce Huff had lived up to his billing, and he had 6 sacks right now, or 4 sacks going.
Blame Howie for that. Projecting that dude to be Haason Reddick was
stupid. Again, if you had a guy putting pressure, that would change that secondary's look and maybe even the linebacker look and some of the play in your defensive tackles. You keep asking, not you, everyone keeps asking, why is Carter so up and down? Well, Carter's an up and down player right now. I mean, that's where he is in his career. I mean, how many times do you think you can draw a play up for a kid to go out there and fail in it? It's like having Jalen Hurts when you have that conversation on Hurts. Just because you draw a play up for Hurts doesn't mean he can execute it, because his skill set's not executed. See, the problem that you have with Hurts doesn't have the skill set to perform drop back quarterback pocket passing. He's not that guy. He'll never be that guy. People want him. Hey, will he get better? Yeah, Xander, how much better will he be as a pocket passer? 5%? That's still not good enough. That's not good enough to get home. I heard a comment today that I love. You don't have to have a great team. You don't have the great team to win a Super Bowl. You just have to have a really great quarterback.
Well, yeah, look at the Chiefs last year. They weren't a great team last year.
How about the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this. If you took the combined teams of the Niners and the Eagles, I don't believe that the Chiefs would have one player except for Kelsey. Maybe that old lineman or Chris Jones, okay? That could start if you put an all-star team together between the Niners.
Chris Jones, keep out of there. Chris Jones is
they probably have 3 out of the 22, right?
Chris Jones is an actual beast.
He is.
That dude is a monster, dude. He might be one of my favorite defensive players.
And I would take right now I'd probably take Kittle over Kelsey. I think Kelsey's winding it down. I don't think he's the same guy right now.
No, he's not. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Okay, so I
Now,
might take.
maybe they're back. Maybe they're saving him for the end of the
Yeah,
year.
that could
See.
be
He
because he
does
did
seem to
that
be a
last
big
year.
play type of player. Yeah, he makes big plays in big moments, which you got to give him credit for. But
Yeah, because it dawned on me. I'm like, Brian Johnson had the number 8 offense in the league, and how come when I look at that offense right now, I don't see it, and the quarterback is not getting better. And I'm looking at all those guys who had all those great numbers a year ago. Dude, A.J. Brown had 1,500 yards receiving. Devontae had 1,100. One guy had 100 catches. You had a running back who went and got himself a $9 million deal in Chicago. I mean, everyone played great on that offense individually. They won 11 ball games. They got bounced, obviously. I get it. But still, why didn't you keep him? Why didn't you develop him? I mean, you really were that upset with the fans being upset with you that you decided not to develop your own guys who you had in-house? Now I know why the guy, Denard Wilson, didn't get the job as defensive coordinator, Xander.
I don't even want to talk about Denard Wilson. Denard Wilson's is a great coordinator right now.
By the way, he's doing a nice job in Tennessee right now with a shitty team.
Yes.
I mean, look at the job he did last year with Baltimore. They had the top flight secondary in the league. I mean, you got to kill it. It's funny. Okay? It's funny, man, how you look at that. I mean, all right. So is this going to be a Saquon Barkley game on Sunday?
Gosh, I think it might be. They got a pretty good defensive line there in New York. John brought up a good point. Like, is this one of those weeks where you have to factor the owner into this thing in New York? Because think about it. If you're the Giants defensive coaches, right, you look at the Eagles and you're like, all right, who do we want to take out of this? We want to take A.J. Brown out and get beat by Saquon, and then we're going to have an owner who basically said, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night if he performs. Is Saquon Barkley going to go in there and drop 200 yards and 2 touchdowns? Them dudes will be fired on the next day. I think they'd rather get beat by A.J. Brown. It's one of those weird moments where I think that coaching staff might actually choose to get beaten by A.J. Brown because they know the owner is going to be that butthurt about Saquon Barkley. So maybe they try and take him out of the game. I don't know. I still am going to project we're giving away a jersey next week. I think he's going to get over 125 yards, and he'll have a good game. I don't know if it'll be as big as the opener where he had 160 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I think he'll have a big game.
Let me say this to you about John Mara. I had John Mara. You can Google it. Maybe you can listen to it. I don't know if they took the interview down, but I had John Mara on.
Look at Ottos. This show makes me depressed to be an Eagles fan.
No. Hey, listen, I need some Philly 500 to feel happy again. All right, well, let me ask you. That's a good question. Guy, what do you like hearing? I'm just curious. I would like to know, for me, my own personal content as I put my show together.
No, sometimes it's hard to hear the truth, especially when the truth is pretty effing ugly.
What do you like to hear, Guy, that makes you feel better when you listen to a guy like Philly 500, who we love and we get him on every week, and I love him? What do you like to hear? I'm just curious. What's the one thing that guys like you and Michelle Reyes like to hear on a weekly basis? Michelle Reyes, what do you like to hear? Okay.
Reyes.
Hey,
what's up, my guy?
Michelle Reyes.
Wait, Reyes made a great point.
I just want to know.
Let me give Reyes some credit, though, because everybody in here shitting on Reyes. Reyes showed his face. He came on a post-game show loud and proud.
Look at this guy. Here's Michelle Reyes.
Reyes, I respect you, brother.
I want to hear that the Eagles are on the upswing. How many people in here believe the Eagles are on a upswing since 2023?
No. Here's why I can't. This is why I can't tell you that, because they are objectively not on the upswing. They went from 21. They were 9-7, and then they went 14-3 and went to the Super Bowl.
Stop!
And then last year we collapsed at the end of the year, got bounced by the Bucks.
Stop!
And now we're barely squeaking
You're
by the
making
ground.
Michelle not feel good. Stop!
Well, I got to be. That's why, though. He's asking why.
But okay. But wait, no. He wants you to do this. Oh,
they're just not on the upswing, though.
Wait, Xander. Wait, that win over the Browns. Are you crazy? That was a monumental moment for our guys like Nolan Smith, did you see Cooper DeJean as a human bullet? Unbelievable.
I will say Cooper DeJean looked good.
Yeah. Well,
And he made some look. He's not fully there yet as a player, but he made some aggressive tackles, and I can ride with that as a Philly fan. That dude was, and how about that Keely Ringo hit? Well, by the way, that came right after Nakobe Dean just got absolutely hung out to dry in open field. But Keely Ringo popped that dude, man. So the young dudes are ready to tackle. That makes me excited a little bit.
And a hand throw. I love them to turn the page and start clicking. Still have hopes because talent. But I watched the games.
For?
Wait, no, it's not. I saw somebody up here. Oh, yeah, this one here. This is the one. Here, Ryan, Phil, are you calling him Michelle to make fun of him because you know he's a man? He's a man. Sounds pretty misogynistic to me. Hey, Snowflake, kiss my nuts. How's that for you? How's that for you, Ryan? Hey, Snowflake, you can fondle my couillons. How you doing?
Oh, my God. Shows in rare form. Oh, no.
What are you, crazy, Ryan? Hey, Ryan,
somebody
I got to come
for me, Willie. Somebody clip that for me. Oh, my gosh. Please clip it.
My nuts, Ryan.
That short will be getting millions of views for years to come. Oh my gosh. I was not ready for that.
She'll just cancel now because the princess had the.
We're uncancelable. We are uncancelable.
Couillons, reach arounds. That's what Ryan's all about. Got him. Congratulations. Now you can go home and jerk.
Yeah, Ryan's my kind of guy. He checks in and says, love it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all good. By the way, my aunt is in here, so I have to behave myself.
Can't be happy with that comment.
Oh my God, she's gonna kick my ass later. What are you, crazy, man?
And
or hey, I got another one here. We can go play Fortnite, Ryan, me and you.
I think he's making fun of Avante Maddox.
You think?
Yeah. Good God.
Xander, how do you? Hey, so the Eagles gonna blow him out this Sunday?
No, I don't think it's gonna.
Wait! I got to bring this up. So Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts had a piece of humble pie. Hey, you know that game that we were gonna, have you marqueed on Sunday night? And, we're not gonna do that right now. We're gonna put the youngsters in there at that spot, and we're gonna flex Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts out of that game. They went with the younger guys over the veteran guys.
I
think that's a shot at Burrow too, dude.
Oh, it's definitely a shot. Is it a shot at Burrow or is it a shot at this awful organization who sucks at building anything sustainable in the league? Yep. And his defense, I mean, we think the Eagles defense is bad. That defense is brutal in Cincinnati. They're brutal. So he's finding a stride. But you're right, it is a knock. I mean, if you told me before the year, hey, the Bears and the Commanders are going to usurp you for prime time on Fox, I'd be like, huh? Or is it CBS or whoever it is? I'm like, wow. But look, that's a better game right now. 4-2 teams with two rookie stud quarterbacks leading them.
I heard they're putting the Hurts game on Bravo. How you doing? the Bravo network.
Oh, my God.
How do you think, hey, is this going to be a blowout Sunday?
No, it's not going to be a blowout. The Giants are better than people are giving them credit for. Now, they got a big injury list right now. I don't know who's going to all play. Dexter Lawrence didn't even practice yesterday, so I'm waiting to get the full update on their injury report and see who's playing. But, look, their defense, I think their defense leads the NFL in sacks right now. So
26.
Yeah, I mean, they're look, Brian Burns is playing good. They got Dexter Lawrence up there, who's arguably one of the best defensive players in the league. They got some good players. So you don't take anybody lightly. It's an NFC East game. As Sileo points out, they beat us with the Pizza Boy last year. You got to come in, you got to take it seriously, and you got to beat this football team. But, and by the way, if Malik Neighbors comes back, I know everybody likes to rag on Daniel Jones. He hasn't been as bad as he has been in the past.
They've been bad.
I'm not saying he's great. I'm just saying Malik Neighbors is good enough to make him look a lot better.
Their O-line got better.
Yeah, their O-line still sucks, and they're missing Andrew Thomas, who's out for the year.
But it got better. I mean,
I know, but where it got better just got hurt.
Yeah, but it got better in the middle. Hey.
Yeah, they signed Runyon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. You think they extend Nick Sirianni at the end of the year?
Ooh, it's a good question. Wait, if he makes it, let me ask you. Because if he makes the playoffs, that's 4 straight playoff appearances.
He's 43-21, say he wins the opening wild card game. And what would that right now? He's 2-3. Let's say this. Okay. He goes 1-1. He's 2-3 here. And that would make him 3-4. Not bad. Not bad. With an NFC championship, made the playoffs every year. He's got the best winning percentage in the history of the Eagles. He'll go into his final year of his contract. The organization loves to address all this stuff. Do you think that they'll extend him this coming offseason?
I guess you're going to put me on the spot, aren't you? You're not going to let me politic my way out of this thing. If I had a guess, I'd say no. I don't believe Nick will be back next year.
So you're going to fire a guy with a 43-21 record?
Was that a losing question or whatever? If I said yes, you what would you have said?
Because I find this to be one of the more difficult things to do. I watch this. 43-21. That means he averaged 11 wins a year.
Yeah.
You're going to fucking fire that?
I don't know. What are you going to do? Bring him back?
Yeah. How could you justify? How could Jeffrey Lurie fire a guy if he wins a wild card game?
Jalen Hurts, we need you, brother. We need him. How about
this? Can he save his job by getting to an NFC championship game?
Of course. If they get to the NFC title game, that's not a question.
Then he gets re-upped.
He'll be back. You can't fire a guy that goes to the NFC title game.
Goes to 2 NFC title games, had 45 wins.
A Super Bowl appearance. I mean, come on. 4 straight playoff appearances. Come on. You're not going to fire Nick if he does that. So,
right now, he's counting the playoffs right now. I mean, he's 39 and 22. I mean, that's a hell of a record, dude. I mean, right now, people are saying he's coaching for his job against the Giants on Sunday.
Look at Flagson. Flex, how am I supposed to answer that? It's a lose-lose. If I said yes, he would have grilled me for keeping Clown Sirianni. And if I said no, he ripped me for that. It was a lose-lose.
Is still saying we should extend Fredo? No, I'm saying that the organization will take credit in the record because they'll think that record's theirs.
They do. They thought that Super Bowl was theirs for crying out loud.
Maybe
Doug Peterson leads Nicky Foles to a Super Bowl over Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and the organization was actually stupid enough to believe that it was them. Can you believe that?
M. Reyes says there's no football reason to fire Nick. Nick doesn't have a football job, dude.
Yeah, but M. Reyes, this is, and I appreciate your take, but this is the truth of the NFL. Sileo doesn't. I do, M. This is the truth of the NFL, and John does a good job of telling me this all the time. There is a lot more that goes into football for being a head coach in the NFL. A lot more. And Nick sucks at most of them. He really does.
He does a great job of being a politician, though.
Yeah, does he?
Yeah.
Really?
Kept his job. He came back.
He shit on the fan base so much that the owner made him go out there and apologize.
Different. I'm talking about dealing with the owner and dealing what they want. Hey, fire Desai. Okay. Fire Johnson. Okay. Hey, we're going to pick your coordinators. Okay. Go apologize. Okay. I mean, this guy, he's the girlfriend you always want. Never says no.
I got to order a puppet for my hand. And just every time Sileo talks about Nick, I got to put it on my hand and start doing the puppet dance.
You kidding me, man? This guy here, his name is really Jeffrey Lurie's Geppetto. Okay. And Nick is Pinocchio.
I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about something with Jeffrey Lurie. Yo, are we still dealing with ramifications of the Chip Kelly era?
Yes.
Is that why this owner is acting like this?
He's acting like this because he also sees that Howie watches his dough.
Yeah, but that's different. I don't have a problem with that. Shoot, man, why would you not? That's a smart businessman. Howie watches your dough better than anybody else. Sure.
If it's not being appropriated correctly, then there is a problem with it.
Well, no.
It's not being appropriated correctly.
The dough is different than if you let the football guys be the football guys and say, Howie, you handle my dough, that's different. I'm good with that. I actually think that if I were the owner of the team, I would have that's probably how I do it. I need a great dude who manages my money, and then I need a great football guy who manages my football team.
Oh, well, now Now
It's
you're
all
splitting
competitive.
Howie up. Now, wait a minute. Now
Oh,
you're
yeah, I would
talking
split
about
Howie
two
out.
different dudes.
I've said that. I would split Howie out. I would split Howie out.
You think
I would,
Howie would resign if he had personnel decisions taken away from him?
yeah, but here's a fair question for you. Would Howie do better with personnel if he was given more free reign to give the coaches what they wanted instead of force feeding everything into the set systems that they want based on analytics and bullshit is why they run things the way they run things.
Okay, so that means he's under direction of Jeff, and Jeff wants it this way, and Howie's not going to do anything because it's not his money. So if you're saying to me, okay, so let me ask you this. And with Doug Peterson's final game at Lincoln Financial, you think it was his decision to start Nate Sudfeld?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
What was the bullshit reasoning? We want to see what we got.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
In hindsight, that is a crazy thing for them to say. Holy shit.
Then they sit like guys like, don't remember Jason Kelsey going like this? He's sitting on the bench going, what the fuck?
Sileo got me stressed out about this team, man. I swear to God. I come on here, my hair's coming out. My hair's coming out, man.
Like you're a recovering alcoholic. You start fucking
it's
shaking.
Unbelievable. I'm not even a drinker, but I feel like one when I'm on here. Holy mackerel.
Dude, what hurts about this is that it's frustrating because it's the same. Hey, someone goes like this. Hey, Sills, didn't I hear this 2 days ago? I'm like, yeah, it's because I heard it in a press conference today. These people ridiculously practice the same shit every day, dude. You know what I'm saying? I know him. I know Michelle Reyes knows what I'm talking about.
The unstoppable Nate Sudfeld.
The greatness of Nate Sudfeld. Hey, yeah, we want to see what we had, so we pulled Hurts. They even benched Hurts, didn't they?
Yeah, that was he had 4 games that year. By the way, that was Jalen looked good with Doug Peterson, man. I would have liked to see that work out.
So you sabotage your head coaches.
Hey, you remember the first time that we played Doug with Jalen? They hugged I forget where it was, but they hugged, man. They hugged. You could tell Jalen and Doug still like each other a lot. I think Doug would have done way better job with Jalen Hurts. I really do.
Because he would have fought for him.
Yeah, exactly. And he would have developed him.
You know who Nick
around his skill set and made him a better. So for all the people, who say I'm actually not as big of a Jalen hater as I probably come off. But this organization is failing him. And failing him means failing the Eagles. And I'm not loyal to any player or any coach or any owner or any GM. I'm loyal to the Eagles. And the Eagles right now are in a shitty spot because of what they're doing with Jalen Hurts, how they're trying to force feed him into a developmental way that just doesn't suit his skill set, and it sucks.
Here's why some people will sit here and go, Sills, I come on here and I hear, and it sounds like we're trashing. In week 14, you'll be able to tell me if I was right or wrong. See, here's the one thing our show does versus any other show. I make a statement and a stand early, and you get to come back on me.
That's true.
Whether I'm right or wrong later on, and tell me if I was wrong. That's what I'm doing here. I'm making my feelings felt like 10-1 when Michelle Reyes posts that shit. I told you it's going to catch you, and it did. Everything I said, I thought the defense would have gotten better. It never did. But then again, they pulled the sigh and they pulled the rug out from under the team's development. So you never knew. My point is that at least what I'm doing here is in week 14 or at the end of the season, you get to come back and go, Sills, you were wrong. Sills, you were right. And like many of you have come here now and come to the show, and why the show is exploding is because what? You guys are now saying you were right. Well, let's see if we're right again. Jack says Sills is feeling himself. No.
Jack, yeah, he is.
No, Jack, no. That's
Sills
how
cooking in the kitchen right now. He's feeling himself, boy.
Hey, Jack.
He's like, oh,
Jack,
yeah.
No,
I will say this.
Jack, I make a statement and I make a stand early in a season to make a take, and you get the opportunity to call me out on it later on.
It's true.
I mean, most people don't do that because you know why? They're afraid of giving conviction, and they're afraid of giving conviction when it comes to their takes. They want to waffle around. like we had with Seth last year, fucking waffling around for 14 days, 15 weeks or whatever, finally coming to the conclusion he knew the defense wasn't good. Now all of a sudden he's like, Jacoby sucks. Fuck, I told you that last year. Week 2, he stunk.
Yeah, I hate to say this to everybody that hates Big Sills, but since the Super Bowl, and I watch a lot, I watch more Eagles content than I should because this is what I do. This is my life. This is my living. I put my money, my blood, my sweat, my tears into this shit. I don't think anybody's been as right as Sileo. Look, everybody who talks about sports all day is going to be wrong about a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
That's just the reality of it. Silio's been pretty accurate from a big picture perspective about what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. He called it after the Super Bowl. Now, you might not want to believe that, and you might live in your delusions, and you can pick like little instances of things he got wrong, but Sileo prepared me for the Eagles drop-off more than anybody else, and I'll give him credit for that for sure.
Yeah, M. Reyes goes, Sills wanted to trade Dickerson. Yeah, I wanted to get Jesse Bates, and I wanted to get Trey Hendrickson for him too.
That's not really even true. You wanted to trade Dickerson. You were trying to boost the defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't just wanting to get rid of
Dickerson was just a name that was used. It was more of a sentiment than that.
Yeah, I wanted to get Bates back there in the secondary. Hey, by the way, how's Bates and Justin Simmons doing for Atlanta right now?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah. Why is this all on Howie? How are the scouts making dud pick after dud pick and zero accountability? You know why? I'll tell you why, Carmine. Because when they go to the combines and they watch a big fat guy at 6'6", 350 pounds run a 4.8, they go like this, woo, wee, woo, look at that guy. Or they look at Chicken Bone Nolan Smith and go, what a 4.4, holy cow, man. What Howie is a guy that looks in the bathroom mirror and flexes.
Chicken Bone, you got me.
Hey, he does this. Howie's the guy that looks in the bathroom mirror and does all the flexing and shit.
Chicken Bone.
He likes that bathroom look, where you got the phone up there and he's going like this. Look, instead of actually looking at 20 inches of tape and finding a football player and looking at production, this guy will look at a guy in the gym room going, wow, he really interviews good. Who gives a fuck? I'd rather have a guy not interview right. You know why? Because at least he's being honest with me. And when a guy goes like this, hey, what's your plan if you don't make it in the NFL? Hey, I don't have plan B. If you have a plan B, you don't have a plan A. Those were my words.
That's true. Look at Ray. He says, is that why you picked him to win 13, Xander? Yeah, Ray. I wanted to believe, Ray. Wait, who gets to the season in September and says, all right, if you're not Sileo and you don't give a shit what the team does, you get to September and you're like, Super Bowl champions, baby. What do you want me to do? Coming to week 1 with, we're going to stink?
Hey,
Come on,
folks,
man.
There's only one guy I really care about that's on my network, and I do care about John McMullen because the shit that I say and the shit that I start, I don't know how poor John walks in there, man, with his head up, knowing that there's a guy that works on the network.
For you, Sileo. They give John. So I wish you guys I could tell the people the inner workings of how the team works and the press credentials and Bob Lang and all this BS. Let's get through some super chats, Big.
Let's do this.
Carmine. Is Carmine related to Kimberly? Must be, right?
Well, that means good. Hey, hey, Kimberly. Holy cow!
Is it Kimberly?
You got a paisan as your guy? So
maybe it's Kimberly's husband.
Oh, look at this.
Kimberly. She is my sister. There you go.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say something disgusting. I'm glad you stopped me in the nick of time here.
Yeah, come on. Wait, big shout out to you, Carmine. Your sister does some good comments, and it seems like
good stuff there, man.
Appreciate Way to go. The support, my friend. Flexen says Sills is smarter than I thought.
What?
That Miami brain works. Flexen.
Hey, come on here, man.
M. Ray says, "Me too, guys. Me too." I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I think he's giving us kudos there. I have a love-hate relationship with this asshole, but I love him. So, I mean, I don't know.
I love him, Ray. He's a great
There's
guy.
something about him. Stu, don't worry. Sweetie, Sue, me, you. How you doing?
Sue, I'm telling you, man, I might have to bar your comment for a couple of days until this dude gets back on the rails, Sue. Anthony Wilson checks in. Appreciate you, Anthony. He says, I like Anthony because Anthony pushes back on a lot of shit we says, but he shows up and he shares his opinions and he sticks to them. So I appreciate Anthony. He says,
2 years later, teams have caught up with this scheme. The scheme is outdated and it's soft.
Agreed.
So wait a minute. The same scheme you wrote in 2022 when you had 70 sacks and now you have 10.
Oh, you're not vouching for the scheme now, are you?
No. Well, the scheme didn't seem to be a problem in 22. It's the same scheme. You got to a Super Bowl with that same scheme.
Yeah, you had better players, and the scheme didn't win.
Better players. Wow.
Wait. Are you using the argument that you rip on Eagle fans for?
What?
Who won the Super Bowl?
I'm telling you, a better defense. I'm not.
We lost. It's like the people who tell me Jalen Hurts had the greatest Super Bowl. He lost. He lost. Everybody, be real with yourself.
22 defense better than this bullshit.
I get it, but we lost the Super Bowl. As far as I'm concerned, the shit didn't work.
Okay.
And neither did Jalen Hurts' great passer rating that everybody talks about in that game. He fumbled. There's a 10-point swing, everybody. That cost us the game. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't care. Eusto says, so when was Nick Call's tush push? Is it analytics? I don't know. Maybe they're trying to keep
that was there before him because they ran that with Wentz.
Maybe they're trying to keep him from calling a go route.
Hey, Carmine, I want to tell you one thing. Always remember something. Never marry a hot Italian chick. You ready? She'll give you nothing but grief. She'll give you nothing but a ton of shit. Marry a fat chick. You'll always be fed and loved. Just remember that. I'm there to hook you up.
Life advice with Sileo, a new segment coming soon. Let's get to this one. Wow, big Jason all day. Appreciate you, brother. Facts.
We didn't read his $10 one, Carmine.
Oh, Carmine's? Oh, shoot, my bad.
Yeah, gents, the main issue is this. We continue to pay quarterbacks after one good year. Another can have one good year. I told you he's a one-year wonder. Think about that, Carmine. Carmine, if you take 22 away, would you give that guy $50 million?
I love the name Carmine, by the way. I had an uncle. I have a very Italian family on my mother's side. Carmine. I had an uncle Carmine and an uncle Carmin who fought in World War II and lost his eyeball.
I got people in my family named Giuseppe and also.
Oh, I believe it.
Philomena.
I got them all too. Don't worry.
My grandma's sister was named Philomena.
My grandmother's family was from, I forget where. My grandfather's family was from Parma.
My great grandfather's name is Vito.
That's pretty sick. Reminds me of wasn't the fat dude in Sopranos, Vito? The gay dude. Who was the gay dude that ended up? I think he killed himself.
Wait a minute. Vito Corleone was also Vito Corleone. Wait a minute.
Okay, why do you go with the gay guy? Who am I? I'm missing. I'm forgetting his name.
By the way, the gay guy follows me on Twitter. The guy he played the gay guy follows me. Who
was the fat gay dude on Sopranos? Was it Vito?
I think so. Yes. He follows me on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, it was Vito. Vito Spatafore.
Yeah. His name is like something.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
And Martin, appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, Vito follows me on Twitter. The real Vito.
That was a good character, actually.
Yeah.
Jalen says, Jalen all sicko D-O, mad day. What a crazy name that is. Appreciate you, brother. He says, facts. Doug didn't want to start Jalen when he had the chance. It's a huge reason why Doug got fired. Doug not developing Trevor as much better passer than Hurts. Press Taylor costing Doug a second job. I'll agree with about half of that.
Yeah, because you know why? Jalen Hurts was never drafted to take Carson Wentz's job. He was a safety belt. He was a seat belt. He was a backup quarterback. You all bitched at it when you took him in the second after you gave the guy 38 annually. So how the fuck are you sitting there thinking that he wanted to start him when the organization is paying this guy top dollar? Only Jared Goff and Carson Wentz were making the same money. They were the highest paid guys in the sport. So when you say he didn't want to start Jalen, no shit, he didn't. The organization didn't. Yeah. They paid him 38 annually.
Yeah, Jay, you can't put all that on Doug, my guy. Come on. Like I said yesterday, Sileo, Nick was hired to fix Carson Wentz. He wasn't hired to develop Jalen Hurts. Come on, that's why they fired Doug, because the relationship between Doug and Wentz got so bad, they weren't going to continue to do it. And they've moved on from Doug, and then they brought in Nick, and then Carson still wanted out and didn't want to play. So they traded him and honestly got a pretty good return for Carson at that time. Let's keep rolling, boy. Let's keep rolling.
Thanks for the super chats, all. I appreciate this.
Appreciate it. Carmine, I like Carmine. Carmine, you might be my new favorite chatter of the day, brother. Wait, we got that one.
Anthony, I like Anthony too. I'm with.
I like Anthony too. I appreciate Anthony's takes. Mike Cannon says, "Go ahead."
Big Sills, did the league making more rule restrictions, the RPO, lead to the front office to decide making Jalen a pocket passer? No, I think it goes to what Xander said. You can't develop an RPO offense. It's what it is. You could develop a pocket passing offense. That's where you get more growth, is in the pocket. What are you going to develop in RPO? Decision making? You're still going to get your quarterback killed. You know the number one thing that teams started doing to Tebow? What was the one thing that they started doing to Tebow when he was winning those games in Denver? By the way, he had an 8-game win streak. Whatever you want to say, but I'm going to show you how teams catch up. You know what they did? Teams were told when he came down the line of scrimmage, whether he had the ball or not, decleat him, because he's legal to hit with the ball in his hand. You get to decleat him. So he was never going to last running that style of offense. That's why they went and got Peyton Manning off the scrap heap, because remember, Manning had a neck injury. Nobody really knew if he was going to come out of Europe and he was going to be able to play. And quite frankly, he really didn't play all that hot late in his career because of the injury. So, I mean, they catch up on the RPO because why? It's easy to catch up on the RPO because all you're doing is run pass option. What is there to develop? Nothing.
Look at Prince. Xander reads in 2 seconds. So Prince, I try and take it over, but you can tell Sills is little man syndrome. He's like, I can't have Xander read on my show.
Holy shit.
Take over the reading of
You are so wrong, Sweetness. I have no caring of. See, that's half the people in here think that I give a shit about some things that people might say about Big Sills, because at the end of the day, I really don't. Box of rocks.
So you live in people's heads. I respect you for that.
Oh, brother. Man, I really do, man. You know how many people talk crap on Big Sills every day?
I know. I love it. I see it all over. I see it all over the place.
Because I'm the bad guy.
Dog didn't win the Super Bowl based on analytics. Go and tell the owner that. He'll laugh you off the page.
Hey, Justo, do you think when he went like this, okay, run it, you think that's analytics? You know what that is? Coolions. That's having a set of stones.
Yeah, what'd you tell someone earlier? What'd you say?
What was lick my balls or something? I remember what I said.
Oh my God, Still's got me in tears today, man. That was so funny.
That's a set of coolions, Justo.
Showing out today, Anthony. Appreciate that, man.
Set of coolions.
Steven.
Go ahead, Xander, because go ahead. I've got my big man mentality here. Go ahead. I don't want to do it now. Now I don't want
Kellen hasn't called the offense since the first game. Sills called out Nick not having anything to do with the offense in week 1. It all changed after.
Okay, sure. I'll tell you what, I know Krauss and Broad steals my shit, and I know that WIP steals my shit.
Everybody steals your shit. You're a content machine, so.
Hey, the guy Nick Sirianni looks like the guy from Taxi. Hey, you're welcome. How you doing? Okay, Kevin. Hey, you can lick my balls too, Kevin.
Yeah, seriously. Anthony, did we get this? And teams adjusted 22.
Hey, Kevin, post this. Lick my nuts. How you doing?
See, Anthony knows what's up. He's an Eagle fan. He doesn't want to believe that we're as bad as I think we might be.
No, Anthony. Teams didn't adjust to 22. The Eagles self-adjusted. No, they didn't. They self-adjusted. They went to pocket passing more. He had more passing attempts than he did in 22 by 150 attempts. They went to more. There's no coincidence. His yards per carry from 2021 to 2022. Then you go 23, 24. They're down 2 yards a carry because he's throwing it more. They self-corrected themselves. They didn't catch. How do you catch up? Leaving a Super Bowl, getting into 23, and the guy goes up in turnovers and he doubles his turnovers. He had 8 turnovers in 22, right? He had 15.
But you're right, but what Anthony said is still true. He didn't get better in what they wanted him to do. Now, they might have been wrong for trying to have him do that, but the point is, Anthony is right, that he didn't get better at doing the pro-style offense, which is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, because that's what they want him to be. They don't want that 22 offense. Dude, I would have ran that 22. By the way, Xander, do you think there's any coincidence that they ran that 22 offense earlier in the year last year at 10-1, and when they started throwing the ball more and more by the middle of the season, and started throwing it towards later part of the season, turnovers turned over and he started losing games.
Is that what started? I'd have to look at the breakdown of last year, but
yeah, look at the first couple games. He ran the ball more when they were 10-1.
Yeah, I guess that's not fully sustainable. And the owner wanted to protect his investment, I guess, right?
Because the owners care about health of players. Wow.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying you fucking locked into this dude. He's got to be your quarterback. Would you rather have Kenny Flickett? By the way, I need to take credit for that on this show. When we traded for Kenny Pickett. That is. Right before Dan's show, I said,
I started stealing it.
And then he comes live and just starts rattling it out in the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
Now I see it everywhere all over YouTube. I'm like, I coined that phrase.
I took credit for it, but that is Xander. I will not lie. Being behind the scenes producer, Xander, that is his take that I took ownership of. Yes.
Kenny can't even flick it, dude. His hands aren't big enough to flick it.
Kenny flick it. Well, I told you, man. Any guy with small hands, right,
Kenny
Sue?
Gloves. Yeah.
Hey, Sue. Any guy with small hands. How you doing?
Small hands to you, Sills.
Hey, Sue. Never date a guy with small hands, right, Sue?
Come on, Sue's brother's in here. Show some respect, will you?
Yeah.
Show some respect, Sileo.
I'm sorry, Carmine. That's right. I know what a Guinea brother could do. I get it. I'm sorry. I forgot about it.
We're off the rails right now. I'll tell you that much. Carmine says, Sills and Xander, Kim and I are going to the game this Sunday. I live in Hoboken. Let me know if you want extra coverage from us. That's dope, Carmine. Hoboken's a good spot.
Yes. Carmine, do me a favor. Dan Sileo show. Follow me. I'll follow you back. I think Kim follows me. Send me some pictures, and what we'll do is we'll repost it. And by the way, now that I know you're in Hoboken, the home of Frank Sinatra, how you doing?
I'm thinking of moving up toward Hoboken. I mentioned my brother's having a kid. I didn't tell you that, did I?
No.
Oh, I announced it on the post-game show, and I got everybody.
Hey, what? The kids, how far along are we here?
No, he's not yet. He's due, I think, after the new year. And I think he's due closer to May or something. But he announced it. And on our post-game show, I had to leave a little bit earlier because we had a big family dinner where he announced to our family that he was pregnant. So, but my brother is a lot smarter than I am. He doesn't talk about sports for a living. He is like a founder of a company in New York, raising all this money and doing all these crazy things. But so he's looking to buy a house somewhere up in that North Jersey area, or in the suburbs of New York, somewhere up there for his family. So
like Patterson, like that kind of place up in there.
My brother's big time, brother. My brother's my brother.
He's going up near Eli. He's going up near Eli, man.
He's trying to do some. Yeah, I forget where exactly he's looking right now, but he's looking at some spots where I can't afford. I'll just
remember I told you about why you live in Jersey. Remember? You know why the Statue of Liberty faces the other way, so everybody in Jersey can kiss everyone in New York and Connecticut's ass.
Yeah, I believe it. Stu is right about this. New Jersey property taxes. Oh, they'll kill you. They'll kill you.
Hey, Sue, where my aunt lives in Fairfield County, Connecticut, a tree hut goes for about $300,000. Okay, a tree hut.
Yeah, it does. Angela,
I'm already moving my aunt's tree hut.
Angela, you are correct. My brother is not pregnant. His wife is pregnant.
Well,
hey, I'm going to be an uncle times 4 because my older sister's got 3.
Wait a minute, Angela. It depends on what political party you're with. If you're a Democrat, you believe dudes can get pregnant.
Yeah, that's true. I don't believe that bullshit. So don't put that on me, Angela.
Hang on. Let me put this thing back on the Grand Central Railroad tracks.
Big hand, small brain, right, Sills?
Hey, Prince, you know what? Take a knee and grab a cannoli. How you doing?
Hey, Prince is on fire today. Wait, it's good to see Prince because he rebounded after one of the worst lists I've ever read in my entire life yesterday. Prince decided to rebound, and I respect it. I respect it. He came back strong.
Man, I disagree. I don't think he meant Jalen Hurts at 3.
No, he didn't. You're right. He did follow up. He meant
Jaden Daniels that he put there at 3. I thought that was pretty cool and pretty high for that kid. But hey, by the way, if you had to pick a quarterback to start your franchise, would it be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Jalen Hurts?
What was that? Say that one more time.
If you were going to start your franchise and build your team right now with the starting quarterback, would it be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Jalen Hurts?
Well, definitely not Jalen Hurts.
Okay, well then rank those 3 on building a team.
I'll probably go Jaden because he's he's suited for the modern game.
Jaden.
And I go Caleb, and then I go Hurts. Right?
These guys get 5 starts.
What would you do?
It's a no win for you.
Wait, everybody in the chat, what would you do?
Don't ask Michelle Reyes because
Michelle Reyes already checked in.
Yeah.
Hurts.
Okay. I would take Daniels. I would take Caleb Williams is playing great though, dude. He
said, Xander, nothing wrong with a big family. Abe, if it were up to me, I'd have about 42 kids.
Yeah, if it were up to me, Abe, I'd have about 42 kids and 16 gomads and 1 wife.
I can't be saying I don't know who's watching right now. I can't be talking too crazy. I can't be talking too crazy.
Hey, when you're married 34 years, no one cares anymore.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm not there yet, though. But hey, if it were up to me, I'd have and I hope I will one day, God willing.
Hey, I think I got a few people in my family, 18 kids, 4 gumads.
Wait, Sills has a lot of accomplishments in life. Sills, what's your best accomplishment?
My daughter.
Exactly. My parents say the same thing about their kids. My sister says the same thing about her kids. Everybody I talk to that has a good head on their shoulders takes pride in their kids. So I'd love to have many, many kids.
Yeah, I got to be careful because my wife's home. She may not give me dinner. I may be eating peanut butter and jelly tonight.
You're eating tuna fish, my guy.
Yeah, I'll be eating tuna fish. No good.
You might need to run to the supermarket.
You might
need to run to the supermarket, pick up a little can of tuna.
Good. I'll be eating McDonald's and a Big Mac tonight. How you doing?
I like some mayo. Mix it with some mayo and some hot sauce. Some salt.
Oh, good. By the way, she made sauce the other night. It was spectacular too. By the way, it was awesome. Hey, Xander, great stuff. You're feeling good about Sunday, though.
I mean, define good. I don't think we're going to blow them out. I think we're going to get the win. I have a hard time believing
it's a 4-quarter game again.
What's that?
You think it's a 4-quarter game like it was in Cleveland for Cleveland?
The way the Eagles play, it seems like they just leave that door open for everybody, right? I mean, they refuse to run the game like they should run the game, which is run the ball, let the offense set up, give Jalen Hurts some time to get into the game, and play normal football like it's supposed to be played. But they come out and just start throwing go routes every time on 1st and 10, in the first drive of the game. So that lends to creating opportunities for the other team to hang around, just like the Browns did. By the way, with 3 field goals in the game, they still hung around. And that's probably what will happen, that the Eagles will leave it close and it will be a 4-quarter game. But the Eagles are going to win.
Are you concerned about special teams?
Nah. I mean, how much can you put on Michael Clay for
no.
The greatness of Myles Garrett jumping your offense?
That's my problem with special teams right now. You got lesser talent.
And Howie's gotten rid of they got rid of every player that Michael Clay. So before we start bashing Michael Clay, by the way,
I'm not.
They got rid of every time John said, "Oh, that guy's great at special teams." Boom, he was cut, released.
You know how the first sign you know that you don't have the same talent you have on special teams? Your defense is not with depth, and when your defense doesn't have depth, your special team suffers, and their special teams the last 2 weeks have suffered.
There you go, Bob. That's my brother's company. Radical AI. He'll be meeting with the White House in a couple months with Trump.
We will end on that.
Do I look? I don't look like a Kamala voter, do I?
Xander, yeah, no.
No, everybody.
Dude,
if you got a problem with that,
hey,
pick it up with somebody else.
Hey, no, man. You're not going to vote. If you move to Jersey, you're not voting for the fat guy on the beach and stopping traffic on a bridge. Yeah. So I know you're not that guy. And he, by the way, the last time, as Trump would say, Christie was seen was at a Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm a businessman, everybody. I vote for the businessman, not the stupid lifetime politicians.
Hey, right. Being a politician, here's my politics. Big Sills' world is right here. Xander, great stuff, brother.
Xander got a Harris bumper sticker. Abe, come on, brother.
Did you see that interview with Brett Baer?
I saw some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Brett decided to sack up, maybe take a page out of Sileo.
I posted it, man. I was
not
like,
be a
what?
softy.
Hey, I kept doing this. What? What?
All right, enough politics for the day. Hey, listen, here's what I'll say on the way out, though, because I know I just said it, but I don't care who you vote for. If you support JAKIB, I support you. And I could give a shit who you vote for. I really don't. I really don't care. Doesn't bother me.
Can I tell you the only thing I care about is your views and your super chats. That's it.
What's that?
Only thing I care about is your
I don't
view.
want to dumb everybody down to that, but I do appreciate their support of this network. And
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Brainiac. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm a man of the people. You're not. Obviously, you live in Cape May.
Are you kidding me?
Hold on,
you think I'm not a man of the people?
You got a yacht. You float around with Jeffrey Lurie. You're in Cape May with your old man down in Naples.
Huh?
Hey, wait, I'm a man of the people. So, Xander, great stuff, brother. Hey, by the way, tell John he's starting to sound more like Sileo every day. How you doing? Xander, thanks, brother.
Appreciate everybody, man. What a fun show that was. Appreciate all you guys. Still, it's a great show, man. Finish up strong. Merril Reese. Oh, by the way, real quick before I get out of here, 6 p.m. tonight, we'll have This Week in Pro Football again. It's every Thursday night at 6 for those who enjoy the show. We'll have Sal Palantonio on.
Oh, killer.
We'll have the two Giants guys, Gary Myers, Hall of Fame voter, and Pat Leonard. Gary. So we'll have them at 7. And then we'll have, if you're into fantasy and if you're into sports gambling, we have two guys in the middle that cover what to do this week for those guys. So if you're into fantasy and sports betting, it's great middle of the show. But we also have Sal at the Open, who really does a nice job.
Tell your guy that he voted for my uncle in the top 10 of New York Giants.
Gary?
Gary, yeah. Because I tweeted at him. I said, because he was on the panel to vote.
Yeah.
And God, you know what? You remind me so many, because there's so many people that I know. Gary Myers is great.
One day you got to educate me on how good Mark Gastineau was, because I saw something the other day and I was like, holy shit, was he that good?
Gastineau is the second player next to Reggie, if you count his postseason, to have a sack in every game he ever played, and it's 110. In 110 games, he had 110 sacks.
Wait, he had a sack in every game?
Here, watch this. He gave me this. I got a bunch of stuff, but check this out. So we all get coins if you're an NFL alumni. Here's mine right here, and here's my number. Dan Sileo.
Love it.
I got a certain number here, NFL alumni. Here is Gastineau's. And Mark gave me this. So check it out, what it says on the back. Okay, on the back here.
Let me see if I can see.
I'll read it. It says 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 7 times All-Pro. And that guy's not in the Hall of Fame. And he was on the New York Sack Exchange.
Yeah, right. You have that jersey, don't you? The Sack Exchange jersey?
Right here. Hang on. Oh, what? By the
That's
way,
right there. Isn't that? No, that's the Gastineau jersey.
No. Right here. That is the Sack Exchange. They all signed it for
Prince
me.
says Sills is reading. Yeah, you don't want to make Sills read too much.
Hold on here. Okay. So on the back here, by the way, Abdul Salam died last week.
Oh, really? Rest in peace.
Yeah, number 74, Abdul Salam died. He signed it. Joe Klecko signed it. Hall of Famer. Marty Lyons signed it. Mark Gastineau signed it.
Wow, that's dope, man.
New York Sack Exchange.
That's cool as hell right there.
Yep. Gave me that. I got a whole bunch of shit, man.
No, I love when you start going into stuff like that. It's dope.
Dude, Gastineau's a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year and a 7-time All-Pro. And the reason why they don't is because he was a lunatic.
Was he?
Yeah, it was just
kind of lunatic.
A lunatic.
I'll have to look up a little bit of Mark. All right, let me go because I got to get ready for this show.
Xander, I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Great stuff, man. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Love all you guys, man. Appreciate the support. Big Sills, great show. Catch you tomorrow, brother.
Absolutely, man. Make sure you check out Xander and Bird 365 in the morning. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Abdul Salam just died. I don't remember. I think he could have been. Hey, am I right? Prince was Abdul Salam, did he go to an HBCU school? Hey, am I right when I say this? I don't know if Xander knows this, but Joe Klecko is a Temple guy. I got to bring this up here. Yeah, right here. Joe Klecko's a Temple guy. Went to Temple. Yeah, Mark gave me this. I think Abdul Salam Got to frame that jersey, Big Sills. Hey, do you want, before the timeout, let me show you this last one. Let me show you this last jersey that I got. And you know what? Hey, correct me and excuse me if I've shown some of you this before, but Mark sent me this because he knows how much. I mean, me and him are very good friends. And here's Gastineau. And Mark said this. There are Jets. To Dan Sileo, my brother, we are friends for life. One of your close friends, Mark Gastineau. Yeah. I grew up, I love this guy. I like lunatics. That shirt is one of one. Yeah. Really cool. He sent me that, man. Mark sent me a whole crap load of stuff. Just absolutely a great dude, man. Shut up, Prince. What do you know? So Klecko was from Temple and lived in Marlboro, New Jersey. Met him a few times. Great dude. Hey, Bob, how tall you think he is? You think Klecko's 6'2"? Sills has a whole museum of fucking cool ass shit. John, I'm going to look in the drawer. What do I have? Oh, that's just feel good stuff with Big Sills. Forget it. No good. But I do have a ton of stuff. Hey, how about this here, man? So you know how I show this thing here? This Ryan Longoria? This Evan Longoria Rawlings small trophy. Look at this. Okay? I never realized that he signed it. I never realized Evan signed this thing for me, Evan Longoria. I'm sitting there doing this, didn't think shit of it. And my wife goes like this, "Oh, that was nice of him. Evan signed it for you." I'm like, "He did? Holy shit, he did." And Tampa Bay Rays, this is when he was with the Rays. This is when they were champions, actually. This is 2010 Golden Gloves. And Evan gave me this in my studio when I covered the Rays and I was down in Tampa. All kinds of crazy shit. Okay? I'd rather have Evan's mitt. Hey, I didn't ask him for the shit though. Says you have more stuff than Mark Holmes. Yeah, Mark bought that. American League champions. Hey, Flexen. Is this the year that the Phillies beat him in the series 10? Was that 2010 you guys beat him in the series? Is that? Yeah, we're doing that next. Hey, we're doing that next. We're gonna grade the players off the week. Oh wait, okay. Oh wait, okay. Oh wait, okay. Oh wait. Damn, I was covering the team then too. I told you all, Sills, the dicky bunch of dudes that close, aka Diddy Party, Baby Oil, Sills. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's my two girls. I don't know why. I'm a Yankee fan, Sills. Me too. Huge Yankee fan. As a matter of fact, Flexen, you could ask me any question you want, okay, about the Yankees, and I'll know it. PFN ranked the Birds' defensive line number 5. How can you rank their D-line number 5 when you're 29th in defense and you get stoned at the point of attack and run defense? Oh, my God. How come when I see Steve, I do this? Hey, Sills, PFF has ranked the Birds D-line number 5. You know, I mean, what do you got to say about that? Stop getting killed at the point of attack and teams running the ball down your throat. Who's the worst than us, Sills? If we're 29th. How about the Cowboys? Right? Top 10 offense, top 5 defense. What's up? Yeah, and you're out of the playoff picture right now. What's up? Oh, what's up? All right. We are going to do, because as Abe said, nicely done, Abe. How good did you actually play? This plays right into it. Who's the lunatic that said the Eagles' D-line is number 5, according to PFF? Okay? Stop it. We are mediocre people. Carmine, don't do that. Don't do that. These guys will start freaking crying like Princess. These guys will start crying. What are you, crazy? All right. Hit the like button. We're going to take a look actually how good they play heading into this Giants game. All right? Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. By the way, let me do this now, Xander. We're going to have Merril Reese at the bottom of the hour, so let me catch up here a little bit. because we've been having a bunch of fun here. Let me do this right now. Hey, our good friends at BetUS, make sure you check out our friends at BetUS. We have teamed up with them. We're so proud to be teamed up with them during this football season. By the way, don't forget the YouTube 150. Okay, bonus is up to $2K for you. Second is 125. Third is also 125. Log on to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa to get those fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Make sure you check out our great friends at BetUS. Those guys do a great job, and we're proud to have those guys. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much for coming aboard. Merril Reese will join us. That will be at the bottom of the hour. I want to show you a little bit here too also. So Gassino sent me this card, he and his wife. Your friendship will always be treasured. We'll be playing for your strength and your family as well. Love Mark. Love the guy. Lunatic, but love the guy. He's a great football player. Just a absolute beast of a football player when he played. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Appreciate you guys so much. We're going to reset here in a second. So much more shit to get to, too. And we're going to do, as Abe said, the grading here. And I'm going to tell you how good your guys did play. I think this Giant game is going to be interesting. I think the injuries that came out yesterday, and by the way, reporting it also today, Dallas Goedert's going to be a concern. Jordan Mailata, obviously not playing in the game, was going to be an issue. Milton Williams, Darius Slay. All these guys are major factors playing against the New York Giants. Not that the Giants are going into this game on Sunday totally healthy themselves, but okay. Seals, you think Howie is looking at Jamal Adams? No. I think Jamal Adams, I think he's a one-dimensional guy. He's a pressure guy, and you got to remember something. Here's an example, something, Eli. He's not a very good cover guy. And in Vic Fangio's scheme, you've got to be a good cover guy. He's a good blitzer. He did that when he was in New York and when he was in Seattle. He was a good blitzer. Outside of that, he's not a great tackler, and he's not a good cover guy. And if you're not going to bring pressure from your safeties, like Vic barely does, I'm not thinking that guy is a guy that fits that scheme. Okay? And by the way, I can't remember the last year that Jamal Adams played well. I just don't remember the last time I remember him playing well. So, I mean, here's Hannibal. Brother, you know what, Brother Hannibal? I don't say this enough. You post some great stuff over on my Twitter page. By the way, if you guys haven't followed me on my Twitter page, please do. That's over at Dan Sileo Show. We comment all the time after the program. By the way, I don't really do other shows. I get offered to do a ton of other shows. You know, I'll do a couple Miami Hurricane guys, but I really don't do a lot of shows. That's not in me to do that. I find exclusive content is here and on my X page or on my Facebook or something like that, Instagram. I do not go anywhere else. I don't think that that's cool. I think you dilute yourself when you do that shit. You don't see me on 1,000 shows. I get offered all the time. And by the way, I know many of you are watching that offer. I thank you a lot. It means a lot. But me and Craig Carton have a deal. Okay? We get ambushed too many times. And I'm not into that any longer, going on somebody's show that I don't know, because I've been ambushed too many times. So I don't do it. Okay? Let's see here. Shit, M. Reyes. Are you kidding me? Well, I don't know. You come here every day, M. Reyes? I think about it. Darius Slay did not practice today. Knee injury from Sunday. Jalen Carter did not practice with a shoulder issue. Eagles could be without Jordan Mailata also, and will be without Jordan Mailata. and also are going to be without Dallas Goedert, per John Clark, NBC in Philly. Tell you what, man, you don't have Jalen Carter, and you got a banged-up Darius Slay, and you don't have Jordan Mailata, and you don't have Dallas Goedert. That game just got even closer. Howie said if Jordan Davis isn't a 3-down tackle by his third year, if he's not a 3-down tackle by his third year, if he's not a 3-down tackle by his third year, we failed at our jobs. Yeah. You failed at your jobs on developing him? Isn't that crazy? He's blamed. Hey, Eagle fan, where'd you get that from? Where did you get that from? Howie said if Jordan Davis isn't a 3-down tackle by his third year, we failed at our jobs. That's as honest as it gets. Where did you get that, Eagle fan? Seals, you said Jordan Davis was a bust. Yeah, for what you drafted him to be, he is. He's not a bad player. But you thought he was going to be the next Fletcher Cox. He's not. Where did you hear that, Eagle fan? I'm not saying you're lying. But that's blaming coaching and not his evaluators. You evaluated a guy who could never be a 3-down guy. You drafted a guy who wasn't capable of being a 3-down guy. That's Howie Roseman right there. Hey, Eagle fan, that's Howie blaming coaching, and that's why you changed so many coaches out. He's not blaming his evaluation of him. He's saying we failed at our jobs. If he's not a 3-down tackle by his third year, we failed at our jobs. Okay? If he's not a 3-down tackle, who said he was? He had 6 sacks in 3 years at Georgia. What were you thinking he was going to be? Get this. So Greg Cosell said that. Howie Roseman is blaming coaching for player lack of development. Well, how can you get player development when you fire coaches every year? What a suck-ass thing to say. Howie said we. Okay, we failed? Okay, so Chris, if you're saying he failed at evaluating the play, he drafted him. He drafted him. Coaches can't make chicken shit into chicken soup. If the player sucks, he sucks. I mean, that's what you're expecting. You're expecting Vic Fangio to make these bad players into Ray Lewis? You're nuts. Sills, I heard that they were taking snaps away from Jordan Davis. He's not good. He's not good. No, I'll take that back. He's good. He's never going to be great. He's going to show you flashes. Mosher said he told them before the season started, Ajomo and Carter will be their tackles on third down pass rush. It's turning out to be that. By the way, get this, Eagle fan. When you hear Vic Fangio getting up like he did earlier this week and making a comment saying that kid is working hard, he's earning his playing time, and he's getting more reps, that means this, that Jordan Davis is falling out of favor with the organization. And now, if Jordan Davis is a rotation piece after 3 years, he is a bust. Think of that. Ajomo has turned him into a rotation player. Man, what a failure. 13th pick? Dude, 13th pick. You need to be Fletcher Cox. Fletcher was drafted around that number. You need to be an elite tackle. Once again, Howie Roseman doesn't know what he's doing in the draft defensively. He thinks he does. Isn't that crazy? I've been telling you for 3 years that guy's not a elite defensive tackle. And you guys have been trying to tell me he's young, Sills. No, he'll never be. Carter, I'm not giving up on. Okay? Look at Abe. Personal issue. Hey, Abe, are you under the impression that anyone cares about your personal life in the NFL? I don't give a shit about your personal life. Go fucking play a game. I don't care what you're feeling. I don't care if you need to get a dog. Go play a game. Yeah. Clairvoy. Absolutely true. He thinks analytics drafts just like the play calls. That's exactly the problem with the team. Everything is analytically driven. Your draft is analytics. Your play calling and your game plan is analytics. This is why it's cookie cutter and why it looks the same. This is what I think Xander and I may have been right. We may have been talking about the same shit. But dude, you're an analytics football team and you go by the numbers. You know what else they say? That's right. Anthony goes 13th pick because he ran fast. His tape was average. Correct. Hey, Anthony, I said it on draft day. I think this kid was okay at 22, between 22 and 25. That's where I had him on draft day. I think he's okay down there. He's better than Mozzie Smith. I don't have a problem with that. See a first rounder? Probably on draft day playing at Georgia? Yeah, probably. He's not terrible, but 13th pick? You're expecting him to be Fletcher Cox and get 7 sacks a year. That's never going to happen. That's not who he is. And when you look at his production, here, let's do this. I'll show you something that's crazy here. Here, let's do this. Jordan Davis stats at Georgia. Okay, so check it out. His college stats at Georgia. This is what you drafted in the first round. In his 4 years at Georgia, he had 7 sacks. 1.5, 2.5, 1, 3. Here were his numbers. 25 tackles, 18 tackles, 16 tackles, and 32 tackles. Now, let me put this in perspective for you. I had 107 in 1986 with 9 sacks, and I led my team with Jerome Brown next to me, and tackles for losses were 13. I averaged 10 tackles a game. Okay? I mean, you're telling me that I did more in 2 games than that guy did for a full season at any time in 4 years at Georgia? And he had 7 sacks in 4 years? Shit, if I played at Miami for 4 years, I'd have had 30 sacks. Okay? I mean, and here's even, get this. Tua says he's a space eater. How can you be a space eater when you're giving up yards per carry? And here, let's take a look at that. What are the Eagles ranked in run defense? Let's see what they are ranked in run defense this year. You're ranked 17th in run defense. Space eater? Okay, I guess. Issue with Georgia players, not much tape, and they play about 200, 250 snaps a season. Clairvoyant, that is the difference in today's college football. You're dead on. Okay? Back in the day, we didn't rotate because you couldn't transfer. Nowadays, kids transfer if you don't give them proper playing time. I'm probably not getting 100 tackles today if I played in today's college football. And Jerome and I aren't probably getting 100 to 75 tackles a game or a year. Probably not. You're right. It's a different world. You got to kind of recruit your own guys. You know, if you're not playing, getting significant playing time, you're leaving Miami or you're leaving Georgia and you're leaving Alabama, going somewhere else where you're going to get significant playing time. You're right. Like, would I get 100 tackles in today's college football? Probably not, because I'd have to give up playing time. Wasn't something that, you know, I wanted you guys to draft Devin Lloyd. I wanted you guys to draft Devin Lloyd that year and Trent McDuffie, and you guys hated it. Georgia blew people out. It was easy for Davis to get pressure when the offense was forced to throw the ball. And they threw the ball around in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, they do throw the ball. Yep, Georgia people did. They had a rotation at Georgia. They kept them all fresh. They're not used to those NFL snaps. Get this. I mean, you know what else too, Forrest? Kobe Dean's not pro-ready. Carter and Davis are not pro-ready. Nolan Smith's not pro-ready. Nick Saban's guys are all pro-ready. I mean, right? Look at the difference in preparation and get you to the next level. I mean, Kirby Smart's guys are never pro-ready. I mean, the tight end, probably Brock Bowers, the Pickens kid. Can you name me another offensive skilled guy from Georgia that was pro-ready also? Quarterbacks stink. Stafford wasn't under Kirby Smart. Okay. Roquan Smith is a Kirby Smart guy. He's defense. I was talking more offense. James Cook looks good. I do like him. Chubb, okay. Chubb. Running back and linebacker, okay. And the kid Pickens at with the Steelers. He's been there 9 years, though. You know what I'm saying? He's been there 9 years. Saban had guys coming in and out of there every year. I mean, Landon Dickerson was a second rounder, right? Derrick Henry was a second rounder. Right? I mean, Pickens is a nut job, but he's good. Dude, I don't care about that if you're good. You're a nut job, so what? Ringo? I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't put any weight into anything with Keely Ringo yet until I see him get out there and play a season. Deion Branch, Patrick Surtain. Yeah, but Deion Branch and Patrick Surtain and Micah Fitzpatrick and Xavier McKinney, if they're better than anything Georgia has on defense. Yeah. Patrick Surtain was a great corner at Alabama. You want Ringo at strong safety. By the way, Merril Reese will join us at the bottom of the hour. When you're a 6'6", 300-pounder, you should not be getting blocked one-on-one. These guys don't have technique, and he quits on a lot of plays. He's a bust. I'll tell you what, it's a great take by Lord's Grace here. When he gets blocked, he stops his feet. And it's like he gives up on the play, which makes it harder on Jalen Carter. In my opinion, Jalen Carter is being affected by the shitty play of Jordan Davis next to him. And I would say something if I was Jalen Carter. Hey, this guy, I'm getting double teamed. This guy's getting single blocked, and he ain't making plays. We're all looking bad. If you watch when they run an isolate run, they double Carter and they single block Davis. And that's how even the Browns got small gaps on them, and they were crashing the gap in the middle of the field. They ran the ball for 100 yards. Team that struggled mightily and ran the ball by committee and still ran the ball at 4-2 a carry with nobodies. Against those two guys, how's that possible? You got 700 pounds and two dudes, and they moved them off the ball. He's affecting the play of Jalen Carter, in my opinion. And I think that's why Vic is giving Ojimo, I think that's why he's giving him more reps. Okay? Seals, I think other teams figured out just stop Carter. I do too. And I think that's why they're starting to compensate by getting other guys. Dude, Jordan Davis is now a rotation after 3 years. 13th pick, rotation piece. He's not going to be an Eagle. You're not picking that fifth-year option up. $18 million? No, thank you. I'll play the backup kid. And I'll sign Milton Williams. I'll sign Milton Williams for lesser money, play the younger kid, and I'll move off with Jordan Davis. I'm not picking that fifth-year option up. No way. I'd let him walk. Trade him. What do you think you'd get for Jordan Davis right now if you traded him? A third rounder? I thought Albert Haynesworth was pretty good at Tennessee for a bit. I never thought he was good, Taylor, when he was with the Cowboys. But I thought he was good in Tennessee. A third rounder? So the 13th pick in 3 years, now his market value is a third rounder. Wow. I think Jalen Carter's market value is still a first-round pick. Might not be a top 10 pick. I don't know. I'd still maybe be around there. 10, 11, 12, 13. I'd still be in there. Probably with him. Here, real quick, before we get Merril Reese, I do want to go over the weekly grades. I looked at them, and I looked at the 22 last night. Abe, I like your thinking. Look at Senor's right. Sills, kidding me? Dotson went for a third. Okay, so what are you saying, Senor? That Davis would get a 3? No way. No way. What are you saying? Davis is going to go 1? Dude, Jordan Davis is non-productive. I'm not paying him a second. It's still a loss. So you traded Jordan Davis for a 2? Okay, well, he was the 13th pick. Dude, that means you got, wait a minute, Senor. Senor's going to do this. So Senor wants to pay him $18 million. So you're gonna trade and take the fifth-year option, right, Senor? You're going to trade a 2 for him and give him $18 million, right? Who in the world would pay Jordan Davis $18 million for a franchise tag? Who would pay that? No way. No way. Okay. All right. Let me get to these grades before Merril comes on. I gave Hurts a B+. Okay. 261, 33 yards rushing. I thought it was a better game. I thought he was one of the reasons they won the game against the Browns. Did he play a clean game? Yes. I gave him credit for that, and they won. Saquon, I gave a C. Missed block. Didn't run effectively. Looked like he was not as engaged. I didn't think he pass protected very well. AJ, I gave him an A. Devontae, I gave him a B+. Thought he was great. 3 catches, 60-some-odd yards, a touchdown. Precise routes. Thought he was great. Really did. Thought he was absolutely great. Cal Katera took over for Dallas Goedert. I think that connection that you saw from Oklahoma, Cal Katera stepped in, had a couple really nice catches. And you know what? He may not be the best blocker at the point of attack, but you know what he does well? He's got pretty good hands. And, you know, you got to remember something about him. He was a highly recruited kid coming out of California before he signed with the Oklahoma Sooners. So there was a connection between him. Remember, he had Calcaterra, Grant Calcaterra, and he had CeeDee Lamb, did Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. So there's a relationship that's built in, and he did like that relationship. I'll continue this here because I couldn't wait. Yesterday, I saw something interesting. I wish I lived in Philly because maybe I could get the Merril Reese limousine. And having me being limo to an interview with Merril Reese. I mean, I catch Gary Cobb in the back seat there. He's drinking wine. I think a Merlot had to be from Napa. I don't know what Merril's doing. I mean, I was like, what's this? Merril picked you up in a limo? I don't know. You're taking him to a limo, taking him to an interview. I'm like, man, I need to move to Philly here because I want that star-studded treatment here. With all further ado, the golden voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merril Reese. Merril, I appreciate you doing this.
My pleasure, Dan. Good to be with you. Anytime you're in Philly and you want to do my Tuesday night show from 6 to 7, we will get, at the very, very least, a chauffeured bicycle to bring you here.
I got Gary sitting in the back seat, and I go like this. Whoa, look at Merril, man. He's rolling out the link. He goes, no, don't start that rumor. I'm going to do Merril Reese's show here. So anyway, Merril, 5 games in, the Eagles are what to you?
The Eagles are a good football team trying to find themselves, getting over the early part of the season where they're not quite ready, where you don't go through the hitting and play the regulars during the preseason. I think they're progressing. They're not there yet, but I think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. A lot is yet to be determined, but I'm not discouraged. And as a matter of fact, it's funny because a lot of people were upset about the way they played against the Browns last week, only winning, a tight game. And to be honest with you, I was talking to my friend Seth Joyner, and you know Seth, and Mike Quick calls Seth, and they're good friends. He always calls him Debbie Downer because Seth looks at the game tape like a radiologist looks at an MRI and always has a million things to say, and many of them are negative. And Seth has a TV show, and I was on with Seth the other night, and Seth said, you know what? I'm very encouraged. I saw a lot of good things last week. I know they were the Browns, but still the defense gave up 3 touchdowns, three field goals. That's it. The touchdown came on a blocked field goal. Jalen had a very good game. Quarterback rating of 126. He was at 16 for 25 throwing the football. Completion rate of almost 70%. No fumbles. No interceptions. You know the Eagles have great wide receivers. As good a pair as there are in the National Football League. I mean, when you look at A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I don't think there's a better pair. There are some other very, very good pairs and some great receivers, but these two are as good as it comes. The offensive line is very, very good. And then Seth pointed out that there are some young players, particularly the first and second round draft choices in this draft, who look like they're going to be around for a long time, and they are going to be exceptional. And I'm talking about Quinones. He is a terrific young player, and I'm talking about Carter DeJean. So I think there's some very good things here.
How about this here, Merril? I'm going to make a point to you here. And let me take and do something that I traditionally don't do because I kind of look at things like Seth does. But let me go on the other side here, and I'll pull a Seth on you here now with something positive. Could it be that this offense and this team is in the same place that the Chiefs were in a year ago when they were losing games to the Raiders, and they were losing games like that at Arrowhead because they were finding themselves with their young players on defense and finding themselves with their young players in the passing game, that it took a little time, and by the end of the season, that football team was playing like they were a 14-win team.
Yeah.
Now, they only won 11 games, but they would go on to win the Super Bowl because they had a lot of bumps and bruises at the beginning of the season there. So, I mean, do you think that's kind of where they are right now? New coordinator, new scheme, new terminology in that?
I do. I honestly do. I'm not going to tell you they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Got it.
That prediction right now after 5 games. But I can tell you that when you look at a guy like Quinyon Mitchell has almost had an interception in every game. We would have had one last week, except that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson came in for the ball too, and they bumped together. But he doesn't play like a rookie. And we've only seen a little bit of Cooper DeJean. But Dan, this is a talented athlete who can do a lot of things for your football team. And you mentioned Grant Calcaterra. He came in, played well. So this is a pretty good team.
Tell me something about the Philly fans here. Do you think they like to cheer more or boo more?
I think they like to cheer more. I really do. But they're discerning. They're not going to cheer if a squirrel runs across the field and picks up a football or one of those things that happen every now and then. And they're not going to cheer for anything ordinary. But this team, this town loves this football team. And when the booing goes on, as it did at the end of the first half, right after the field goal was blocked and taken 50 yards by our old friend Rodney McLeod for a touchdown, there was some booing as they went to the locker room. So they're just passionate, but they don't mean it. These fans love this team. If I were a player, there's no place I would rather play than here because these people are beloved by the fandom.
Let me ask you this then, to expand on that. Then how does a guy that's 37-19, been to the playoffs every year, has an NFC championship ring, how does a guy like that get booed in his own yard? And you got people in the media, some calling for his job, some think he's coaching for his job. How can a guy be a winner like you're saying, and that Philly likes to root for a winner? But you look at Nick Sirianni, he seems like a complex story in Philly right now. How do you see this whole thing? Because he's under, now, again, being the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I get it. It's like being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So I understand the pressure that job comes with, especially in a city like Philly. But I thought they rooted for winners. It seems like half the fan base, Merrill's not rooting for him.
It's not half the fan base. I can assure you that. It may be the noisiest part of the fan base, the guys who like to call the talk shows. But I think a lot of people realize that he does have a winning record, that he's been to the playoffs every single one of his 3 years, and he's been to the Super Bowl in his second year. And somebody asked me the other day, how many coaches do you think this year are on the hot seat? And I said, just off the top of my head, probably 27 or 28. That's really, and it goes week to week. I mean, that is one of the most controversial positions in all of sports, to be a head coach in the NFL. You know, you lose a couple of games, they're ready to run you out of town. You win a big game, they're saying you should be the coach of the year. But I really think, I know this. Nick is very popular with his players. I know this. I know he's won a lot of games. I know that he's made some decisions that are not great. I mean, that doesn't mean because I think he's a good coach that I agree with them marching down and going for it on 4th down and 4 at the 10-yard line. I'd much rather take the points at that. I mean, there are decisions that I'll say, why did he do this or why did he do that? But I felt the same way. I felt the same way about every coach that's ever been here. If you ask people of all the coaches in the National Football League right now, who is the greatest coach, who is a lock to go into the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Andy Reid. Andy Reid's right up there with the best ever. And yet, I remember You remember Governor Rendell of Pennsylvania? Governor Rendell married he performed the ceremony when my daughter got married 8 years ago. And there was and it was an outdoor wedding with a nice big crowd. And all of a sudden, some clouds came up behind him and a couple of little rumbles of thunder. And he turned to the people who were at the wedding and said, listen, if any of you see any lightning, let me know, because my my time management isn't much better than Andy Reid's. That was the line Governor Rendell used. But Andy used to get criticized.
Totally,
all the time. It's Dick Vermeil got booed. They all got booed, and it's just part of it. And every coach, but when you look at what he's achieved, he's done a very, very good job. And he is emotional. But you know what? I will bet you. And first of all, there was no cursing out the crowd last week. I think he had a couple of words about what they were asking for and, said something like, see, we won. And I will bet you, because of all the to-do, from now on, you will see Nick at the end of a game run into the tunnel and get out of there. He said he wants to improve as a person, and he wants to make sure that his energy is used in the right directions. So I think he'll back off. But you know what? When it comes down to it, Dan, it fits into the category of much ado about nothing.
Let me bring something up to you and get your opinion on it. Again, you know why we love getting you on. You're so good at it. You're so honest with us, and you've been around the team and you know the inner workings of it. I said this earlier in my program, and you tell me if you think it's wrong. One of the things that I have a problem with the organization is that, you need to learn how to develop assistant coaches too. I look at Kellen Moore and I look at Vic Fangio and I go, well, I don't see the offense being any different right now than what Brian Johnson did. Brian Johnson's offense was 8th. I mean, if you're trying to develop a quarterback, Merril, aren't you also trying to develop a continuity between coordinators also and assistant coaches? There just doesn't seem to be a long lifeline for many of these coordinators, especially these coordinators that have been recently in Philly. I mean, Sean Desai was 10-2. He had beaten Mahomes. He had beaten Tua. He had beaten Stafford. He beat, some really good quarterbacks, and they were pretty decent. Yes, they got killed by 2 teams. That happens. I mean, to move off those coordinators like that last year, I thought it would have been better to, have the defense mature with those guys and also with Brian. Do you have a problem? Because I think that affects Jalen's ability to grow as a quarterback. If you don't have the same coordinator in your ear, look at Andy Reid. He got 8 years now or 7 years now with Mahomes. Hell, Tom Moore was with Peyton Manning for 13 years in Indianapolis. Do you worry about that a little bit, that there's so many new coordinators that it does stunt and slow the growth of a quarterback when he's trying to be a quarterback in this league?
Well, a couple of things about that. I think they were wrong last year in making the move with Sean Desai, who was a hardworking young coordinator, and then they removed him, and Matt Patricia came in, and it didn't get better. So that didn't turn out to be a good move, and I think if you were to ask them, I think they would probably admit to the fact that simply didn't work out. But you know what happens today, Dan? Not just in Philadelphia, but every place. You get a really sharp coordinator. And I think these guys, I think Kellen Moore is a sharp coordinator. Let's not judge him on 5 games. Let's wait. Let's wait another 5 or 6 games to see how the offense evolves. But when you get a really good coordinator who's had great success, like Shane Steichen, what happens? Immediately after that season today, he becomes a head coach in Indianapolis. What happens when somebody like Jonathan Gannon develops a reputation of being a really brilliant defensive mind? Like that, he's hired by Arizona. Today, these young coordinators all want to be head coach. Well, not all. I've met a couple who are very happy being where they are, but a lot of them, their dream is to be a head coach, and they're gobbled up. So it's not just holding on to them, but look, it would benefit Jalen Hurts if he didn't have to change offensive coordinators every year. I mean, he's been doing this for years, since college. He's had an offensive coordinator maybe 1 year, or with Steichen 2 seasons. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl. But these are really bright coordinators. And Vic Fangio has been around forever. So I think he's had his taste of being a head coach in Denver, and he's not ready to move anyplace. And the other coach, who I will tell you, if he said tomorrow that, you know what, I've been an assistant long enough, I want to be a head coach, he would be the number one candidate for every team needing a head coach next year, and that is Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, because he is the best at his business in this business. He's the best offensive line coach I've ever seen. And I'll give you another name. And he was a friend of mine, and he was a great defensive coordinator. Had an interview with the 49ers for their job, but really wasn't interested in taking that. Would have been a great head coach, but really didn't want to, and that was Jim Johnson. He was a great defensive coordinator, and he stayed there and had some great defenses. So it's a combination of things.
I'll say this to you. You're right. Trying to find a guy like Steve Spagnuolo who just wants to, I mean, he was offered. He makes head coaching money right now being the coordinator in Kansas City, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame as an assistant coach with his 4 Super Bowls. He was a coach with the Rams, but now he's comfortable in Kansas City. He's not aspiring to be a head coach now. It's hard to find guys like that.
But he had his fill.
He did.
He did have a chance. He was a head coach temporarily. However, you said something, and I'm not sure I agree with you. And that is, you said he's going to go to the Hall of Fame with his 4 Super Bowls. When's the last time a coordinator who was not doing it as a head coach? I think there should be.
No, that category now for contributors is now open to like having these coordinators now being considered to go into the Hall of Fame.
They should have gone anyhow.
I know.
You tell me Bud Carson.
Absolutely.
Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest. Jim Johnson is
Woody Woodfire, from the guy from the Steelers who created the Steel Curtain. Guys like that, like you said, Jim Johnson, Buddy Ryan
in the Hall of Fame for what he did as a defensive coordinator. The only one I can think of who's in the Hall of Fame who was a coordinator and was not as successful in his short stay as a head coach, but he was also an exceptional player. So you combine the fact that he was an all-pro player, is Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
Dick LeBeau's in the Hall of Fame. But I don't think it's just was the coordinator.
But that's a great call. But he's not in the Hall of Fame because
he
of his play.
But
he's not in the Hall of Fame because of his play, but he's in the Hall of Fame because of his play and coordinator. Yes. Because he played with my uncle with the Giants. So yeah, I mean that's a great call. I had forgotten about Dick LeBeau being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But like you said, because people were always trying to get Don Coryell in, but Coryell just didn't have the numbers to get in. So what they did was they made a contributor to the game. Even though he was a head coach with the Chargers, they wanted to give it. So like he was an innovator, West Coast offense, spread offenses. It was one of the first of its kind. So now I think you're going to see more of those guys. And to your point on Jeff Stoutland, I'll say this to you, Merril. I played against the Eagles in the era where you had not the greatest O-line back during the Buddy Ryan days. Those guys were good players. They weren't great players. You guys even tried to make a trade for my friend Jim Lachey, which fell through, and they ended up going to the Redskins at the time, now the Commanders.
I'll tell you about that. Lynn Stiles was the Eagles' offensive personnel director at that time.
I thought Keith Byers set that thing up too.
No. What happened was Lynn Stiles was the offensive coordinator. Marion Campbell was still the head coach, and they came into the war room, and when their time came up, and they said to Lynn Stiles, "All right," he said, "Get me the best left tackle in the business." And Lynn Stiles says, "Well, I have one. The guy you want is Jim Lachey. And Marion said, well, he's a guard. He's not a left tackle, or he's a right tackle. I want a left tackle. And Lynn Stiles says, well, there's some pretty good wide receivers out there. There's this kid by the name of Jerry Rice, and another one named Al Toon, and another one named Eddie Brown. So he said, give me the best left tackle on the board. So Lynn Stiles said, well, you have to go down that board pretty far, but the best left tackle on the board is a kid by the name of Kevin Allen from Indiana. And they picked him with the first pick, their first round pick. And you look in the dictionary under the word bust, and there's a picture of Kevin Allen. So, I mean, so,
hey,
but
Merril, Merril, Kevin Allen was a friend of mine, and he played with me in the World League. And he said that he screwed up so mightily. He constantly had confrontations. He got into a little trouble with the offensive line's coach's daughter. I won't go into that, but he told me the whole story. It was really ugly. And, he said that he was self-inflicted on his career, and he really did not pan out or play out in Philly because of a lot of things that he did. Sure. And you and I know the story. We won't go into it, but he, that was behind the scenes. So, I mean, but you're right. Jim Lachey was the guy, and Jim Lachey had a great career. Oh. And then he went on to Washington, and he was a super left tackle.
Great tackle. Great player.
Yep.
Great. But so, but you never know how these things go.
No, but to your point on Stoutland, I'll tell you this. I have never seen, you guys had Howard Mudd, and then you somehow rolled in to Jeff Stoutland. Now, I'll tell you, Jeff Stoutland was at the University of Miami back in the time before he went to Alabama, and he was actually an interim head coach after a coach got fired at UM. And I was like this. I go, and I talked to people down there. Mario Cristobal was an offensive line coach also at Alabama, and he said that Stoutland is absolutely, him and Bill Callahan are probably the two best O-line coaches in the sport today. I don't know what he does, but man, I heard something that he does that I love. Whether you're the first team guy or the third team guy, you get the same amount of reps in practice.
Yes.
That the first team guy, Merril, nobody does that.
Well,
the first team guys get all the reps, and after that, you barely get you barely build that guy up, and you barely develop that guy. He's developing the guy that's starting and the 2s and the 3 guy at the same time. It's insane.
Everyone in the O-line room. That's why when a Jordan Mailata goes down, you can send in somebody that nobody heard of by the name of Fred Johnson, and he's not going to turn into Jordan Mailata, but he's not going to be a sieve. He's going to be able to stand up and keep the people out of Jalen Hurts' face.
Absolutely. 2 last questions for you. A.J. Brown's impact, in your opinion, is he, outside of a quarterback, in your opinion, in the last 20 years, is he the most impactful player that the Eagles have had in a huddle?
Ooh, outside of a quarterback. I mean, he's right there. I mean, he's awfully good by impact.
We're talking Westbrook. We're talking your tight ends that you've had.
They're right there.
T.O.
Well, there's one who's going in the Eagles Hall of Fame.
Shady
McCoy. I mean, he was a great running back. Great running back, owns all the records. So he was, well, and there was another guy, you said in the last 20 years, there was somebody by the name of something or other Dawkins.
Hey, I'm talking offensive here. Brian Dawkins is in a different group over here. He's on one of the Mount Rushmore. He's on my Mount Rushmore, of Eagles over the last 25 years.
I'll give you an offensive player.
Okay.
Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce was the lifeblood of that team. Jason Kelce could change line calls. Jason Kelce could block on several levels.
How much is he missed? How much is he missed right now, in your opinion?
I think Jason Kelce has got to be missed because of the kind of person he has had, but he's not missed as much as a center because a guy who he helped scout, who he looked at on tape and said draft him, by the name of Cam Jurgens is the center right now, and he's very, very good.
Finally here, do you like MetLife's booth? Is this a place you like? Is this a place that you're going to like calling games? Or is this, where do you rank this in 32? Middle of the league, upper echelon, lower? Is this going to be a good experience for Merril Reese going to MetLife?
Numero uno. Number one.
Wow, really?
Number one. My favorite booth in the National Football League. Not because of anything in terms of the charm. I mean, it's not Lambeau Field, but you know what? We're sitting there in the middle level with a large enough booth to feel comfortable. We're not sitting on each other's laps. We're on the 50-yard line, and they have something unique. They have the scoreboards on the field right behind the benches. So I don't have to go up there. Where's the scoreboard? What's the score? What's the down? My gaze at the huddle encompasses the down, the distance, the time, the yard line, the timeouts, everything I want to know. MetLife Stadium has the best, in my opinion, the number one broadcast booth in the entire NFL.
I want to sneak one last one on you. You think this is a Barkley game on Sunday? You think this is a Saquon Barkley game? Or do you think, again, that they're not going to try to make this game, because it doesn't come off that the Eagles try to make one game bigger or the other. But a game like this, especially if you're Barkley, going back to New York, and I know John Marr very well. I know the Marr family, obviously, from my time as a young guy in Robustelli. But I mean, you got to feel that he wants a little bit of retribution going back home. Don't you think?
Well, I'll tell you this. Aside from the game itself, the Saquon Barkley connection is the number one storyline of this game. But I stopped by to talk to him yesterday at his locker. He is such a down-to-earth, mature individual that he knows if he thinks about, I'm going to make them pay for letting me go, that's going to get in the way. He's going to go out there and play the best football he can possibly play and not get distracted by all of the stuff that we get distracted by. So does he want to run through them and take a ball 60 yards into the end zone? Absolutely he does. But he wants to do that every week. So, will it stir him a little bit? It would be unnatural to say that it wouldn't. But I just think he realizes the danger when you get too fired up, too on edge. If he plays his regular game, they'll win.
Absolutely. Merril, thank you for all this time. I really appreciate it. Have a great call Sunday against the New York Giants. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Dan. Always fun being on with you.
You bet. The great Merril Reese. We love having him on so much. He always finds time and carves time. Interesting to say that he said that the MetLife is the number one broadcast booth in the National Football League. And I'm assuming that's because he didn't mention, obviously, Lincoln Financial. Great stuff. I tell you what, I'm going to go Saints tonight over Denver. We'll redo the grades. We didn't get a chance to run through it. I so appreciate it. Xander, stay tuned for the show right now, right? Give me the name of the show here, man. I appreciate it. Sal Palantonio is going to be on. So you get an opportunity to listen to Sal talking some football here this week in pro football. Make sure you check it out right after us. Please hit the like button. Big Joe, Xander, we thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.